And we are back with people who look like things. James, what do you look like?
They call me Controller Face.
Shut up.
Aw.
Is that a good intro?
It's a good intro.
Yeah. Welcome, friends of all designs, to 17 Half Bits. I am your host, Paul, and joining me tonight is my good friend, James.
Hello.
And we are back after a hiatus for...
a few months now.
I think it's close to 2 months. Our episode, last one, was scheduled around the same time that the PS5 and Xbox
Yes, we were holding off
XS
for it to be
launched.
out so we could talk about it.
And then everything went tits up.
Yes, pretty much.
Yes. Oh, well, enough of that. On to the PS5 thoughts. So I do have some revelations brought on by the PS5.
Yes.
So I was playing on my very hoity-toity fancy boy white monster box, and I'm like, why do modern games keep making text so small and hard to read?
Mm.
It always looks so blurry. And then I found the real HD upgrade, which is glasses, because I'm blind.
Now, can you actually tell the difference between 4K and non-4K now?
Yes.
You can? The only time I notice it is when something 1080p is on a 4K TV. It does look like a bit blurry, but if there's any kind of scaling, I don't really notice it.
I mean, I'm just used to watching things at such... It's weird. Kids these days are used to watching material ranging between 8K and 80p, and they don't really seem to anything goes as long as the content's there. I mean, we sort of just kept getting more and more, but the kids these days have just been thrown into everything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this YouTube clip's very funny. It's like, it's 4 pixels, but fair enough.
When they're watching what was the name of the Real Tech or Real something?
Yeah, Real Media.
Real Media, yeah. Watching all
stuff.
the South Park episodes on Real Media.
I used to download Buffy, and each of those episodes, it was an hour-long show.
120p?
I don't even know if it was that.
Yeah.
They were 80 meg an episode, and this is before we had good video compression.
Yeah.
So I found one years ago that I had on some hard drive somewhere, and it was a postage stamp. I watched most of the show at this resolution. It was wild.
Yeah.
But yes. Glasses help a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm short-sighted, so just the 5 meters, like the 3 to 5 meters to the TV was just enough for me to go like, oh, that actually helps. These are actually a bit blurry at the moment. I'm going to take them off. But I have them now, and they're good. Yes, the problem of being in an extremely humid environment, going in and out of air conditioning, new glasses do fog up a lot. But anyway, at least we're aircon in here. Though I'm still feeling a bit...
So,
yeah.
You know how we've been doing the show for a while?
Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah, very long time.
And we've never found a sponsor.
Oh, good.
Never. I found something.
Okay, I'm going to start removing my clothes now and see how far I can go. Who is this?
No. I haven't locked it in.
Okay.
But I'm hoping with a little bit of brand placement, we can.
Is that why you have your Quest 2 sitting there?
No.
Is it Facebook?
No.
Please hand over all your data to Mark Zuckerberg.
Just look that way, briefly.
Oh, there was something else in your bag that you brought. I've got a surprise for this episode too. I can't wait. The good thing is that the window that I look at this way is mirrored, so I can see over there. But actually, I can't see you, so it's fine.
All right. What do you reckon?
I don't know.
You can turn back now.
Oh, good. Okay. Wow, son.
Look, I know they've been out of the game for a while.
Yeah. They don't exist, do they?
But look,
there is a pet barn there now.
I've got a good feeling.
How much Wow Sight and Sound clothing have you acquired?
One.
Oh. Well, I mean, this episode has been brought to you by Wow Sight and
Sound. Because of the baby coming, I've been cleaning out a lot of shit.
Oh, you found that?
And so, apparently.
But you've never worked for Wow Sight and Sound.
No. I'm pretty sure when they were shutting down, I went into Wow Sight and Sound, and I probably picked this thing up for about $2.
Off the corpse of some employee. Yeah. That's beautiful. Okay. So we've got a huge show today. Many pages of notes, and we're going to ignore a lot of them because we also are starting recording this a little bit late, so it might actually be shorter. And we have new consoles.
Yeah, there's so much stuff.
We have Bugsnax. We have Cyberpunk. Yes, we have not spoken about Bugsnax on the show because it is pre-PS5 last we spoke. We've got Game Awards. We've got... What I love of the Game Awards, not one note about the winners.
I don't know who won.
Don't you? I know some of the winners.
Wait, hold on. Was it Disco Elysium? No, it was...
It's not even this year.
I know. No, it was Last of Us 2.
Maybe. We'll find out when we get to the Game Awards. But before that, we need to stay on the hotness, which is, of course, big box games from the 90s. James and I are part of a community that likes to collect old PC games. And whilst I'm not much of a collector anymore, I, in fact, got rid of most of mine about 10 years ago, I still like to look. And I have purchased one. And James, we're going to see if you can guess what it is.
All right. Okay. Is it...
Okay. We'll start forever. It's... Oh, you know what? I can't actually even confirm it's from the 90s, but it is extremely 90s.
Okay. Is it Little Devil?
No, but Little Devil's a cool game.
Yeah.
Think of more. It looks more obnoxious in the 90s obnoxious sense. So thinking like radical neons and stuff.
Is it Total Distortion?
Close. Surprisingly close, but also very far away.
Oh, okay.
It is... Oh, I don't know how to give any hints because I really don't think you'd remember what this game exists at all. I'm sure many people don't. It does. It is the best box I've ever seen, which is why I purchased it.
Is it
for an
Brain
entire $5.
Dead?
No. Okay, let's just go because this is going to be pointless.
Okay.
Let me just reach down to my magic box.
All right.
Now, this is only going to play for the 3 people that watch the video version, but here we go.
All right. Tell me when I can look.
Now, you can't look yet. I'm holding it up to... Now, notice how nice and holographic that is, everyone. Because this is, of course, the classic game, Heads. Is that box not a thing of beauty?
Holy shit. I completely forgot that thing existed.
Yeah, it's a game where you get various big heads and run around combat arenas, basically.
I have a feeling... I might have this.
You might have a copy of Heads somewhere.
Might have a copy of Heads.
Why? Why would you ever have a copy of Heads other than me buying it?
I forgot it existed.
Hasbro developed, or Hasbro published
I've definitely played it. Because you could choose different heads, or there was a lot of heads. Yeah, 225 different heads. So yeah, you take on the role of an alien headhunter and prepare to be pitched into an intergalactic gladiatorial competition with 250 heads. Amazing.
That art is spectacular.
It's good condition.
It's the best sort of like horrible CG 90s character design. And it's a foil box.
It is. Oh, wow.
Yeah. We should probably not talk about the visual thing on the podcast that much. But
no, that's amazing.
Yeah.
This is what I love about big box stuff. There is so much shit.
Oh, yeah.
I've completely forgot even exists.
I think I might have a copy of Johnny Bazooka Tone somewhere.
I would not have guessed that.
That I had a copy of Johnny Bazooka Tone.
Well, no, heads. Yeah. No, because I had forgotten it
I remember convincing my father that my sister would really like Johnny Bazooka Tone for Christmas. I have no idea why I thought that game would be good, but there we go. So, we should talk about the new consoles.
Yes.
And we're
not
not
the Xbox, because
neither of us have one. Because we both have PCs. So
we already bought an Xbox when we got Game Pass.
Yeah. And in fact, I have recently moved even more of my computer onto M.2 SSDs.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm pretty comparable with everything. I've got a last-gen Radeon, which is still keeping up. And for instance, it runs Cyberpunk fine. But I also only run at 1080. So
mine runs...
I think I'm fine.
Okay. I'm on a 1080.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway, let's go back to the PlayStation. Actually, at this point, anyone that cares, what do they know?
About it.
About the thing. It's a PlayStation.
It is.
It has a controller that looks like this if you're on the video, but I'm sure you've seen it.
But we can probably talk about the bits we like the most. What are the bits that surprised you?
I am surprised at how shitty the interface is. So, here's one of the things I don't get.
Yeah? I guess my bar was already real low. Like, I don't think PS4 has a particularly good interface.
No, I don't think any of the consoles have particularly great menus. So here's the thing that really surprised me. So the console is really fast. If you're playing Astrobot, that game is, one, it's amazing. It's maybe my pick of the games on the damn thing. And for pack-in, that's pretty good. It is like one of the best pack-ins ever in a thing. So it has all these leaderboard challenges. So someone pops up, says, "Oh, someone's beat you in this challenge." You go, "Okay, I'll do them." And 3 seconds later, you've loaded into that level you're playing.
Yeah.
There's nothing to it. If I need to access the crossbar menu and I push the PlayStation button, that can take ages to come up. I don't understand.
Have you used any of your PlayStation Plus exclusive hints?
No, I haven't. I haven't mixed with that at all.
Yeah.
Have you?
No.
I don't know if that really does anything yet, but maybe it does.
Yeah.
The best thing. So one of the things they added to the PlayStation, other than the hardware being very good, it's very fast.
Yeah.
The controller's the real highlight.
Yes. Yeah.
One of the things they have added is activities, and it's a per developer thing, and per genre it has different effectiveness. But Astrobot again is a great showpiece for how this stuff can work. So it'll have like a list of things you are currently engaged with, and it'll show how much of it you've done. Like, oh, you've done about 10% of the... You've found 10% of collectibles on this level. And at this point, it started populating times as well. So to get them all, it'll take you about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So you can just look through that list and find a task you want to do real quick. And you push the button and you're doing it pretty much instantly. It works as advertised, but it's not going to work for every game or every genre. But it's a nice little feature when it works. But anyway, I'm talking a lot.
Well, for me, yeah, you mentioned the controller, but this is like...
It's like the only next-gen thing.
It's the bit that I give a shit about. Like, I've been playing a little bit of Phoenix Rising. And
Immortals
Phoenix Rising. And it runs nice, and it looks nice. Like, but when I look at it, I don't think, oh, this is like, some massive monumental leap forward. It's like, oh, you're running nice.
Look, I have all of the heavy hitters, and I've not really thought that everything just looks like a, I suppose, slightly higher res current gen game. Really,
probably maybe Demon Souls. That's probably the one that kind of wowed me the most.
Even then, I could just see it being last gen with really good art. I think you start looking at like God of War and Last of Us Part 2 and stuff. I think with
Demon Souls, for me, it was the lighting. Like that lighting, we're not getting away with that on last gen.
But yeah, it's not real or it's not ray traced or anything.
Well, however they done it.
I mean, yeah, but it's just there's just really good art and faking it.
I thought there was ray tracing in there. I swear there's some ray tracing.
I'm pretty sure
on
they
those...
straight up like that has nothing in it.
I thought there was ray tracing. If it's not ray tracing, then they're just very
Spider-Man
clever.
does.
I haven't loaded up Spider-Man. But yes, it's the controller. Like that's the bit that makes me feel like I'm controlling something new. Specifically, those buttons there, the triggers. That putting that resistance on it. Because I remember when Microsoft they spoke about the rumble with the last gen.
Yeah. They went halfway there.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, I can feel a little bit of rumble, but adding the resistance.
The fact that the very first thing you do with those triggers, if you load up the console and then you load up Astrobot because it's pre-built in installed, and the first thing they get you to do is pull the triggers, and they've added a click in it like the GameCube.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they can just at will add different actions and abilities to these triggers, different resistances, like just basic things like at one point you're pulling a slot machine handle, and if you don't have any credits to pull it, you just pull the trigger and it's dull. It just like it doesn't really pull down. Then when you can, you pull it down nice and smoothly.
A good example I saw was actually in Worms Rumble.
That actually has some very nice gun feel.
And there's some things where they communicate information back. So like there's one thing where it's like has charges, and you can feel the resistance, but when it starts running out, you lose that resistance. So it's not just like a thing they're doing to give some kind of immersion. Like there's actually useful feedback coming from it.
Yeah. And it can be used too for immersion as well.
Yeah.
I think since we've been using that now, all dreams I've sort of had with other people, sort of game dev and tangentially to it, is like, oh, I can't wait now until this game releases on there, or does a patch upgrade, or say Oculus puts this thing in their controllers next. Because I mean, VR with this kind of resistance would be fantastic.
Yeah.
So everyone gets kind of. I have found that because Astrobot uses all the features a lot, it does drain my controller much faster than it
will be. Yeah. I want it to be like their Wiimote. Like I want it to be the thing the way everyone else just sort of goes and goes, right, we need to steal this particular feature. for our controllers.
They stole the mic. I cannot fucking believe that when they're going through the controller features, they go, oh, and a mic, so blow on it. Oh God, no. Why did the DS ever populate such an idea? You know what people want to do? They want to physically blow on their hardware. In the year of a pandemic, let's encourage everyone to just spit all over our shit. So other than that, so PS5. I loaded it up, got all the new games and everything. I immediately played through Bugsnax, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then, you know what my most played game is?
What?
Maneater.
Oh, the shark game.
I don't even know why I bought it, but it's funny. And I've got everything, and that's why. Oh, and Astros. And I loaded up a bunch of PS4 games to test. The wife has started playing The Witness, which is great.
Yep. The PS5 is a very good PS4. It's a
very good PS4. I did try to load the Tomorrow Children.
Oh, but didn't
servers down. So you can't do anything with the servers down.
Yeah, I loaded up Jedi Fallen Order in performance mode. And just solid 60. Whereas before that thing was all over the place.
Yeah, I've what else did I do PS4? It doesn't really matter. It works. Compatibility is fine. You get all that access if you got PS Plus to the greatest hits, but it doesn't really matter because if you're a PlayStation person, you've probably played everyone you care about already. I mean, I've got access to Days Gone, but let's face it, I'm never going to load up Days Gone.
I think I installed it. No, I don't even think I got that far.
So, I technically have on my list, I didn't write it down, I technically have Assassin's Creed Valhalla because when I bought my new SSD, came with it.
Okay, yeah.
I have played 40 seconds. Just to test that it loaded and runs.
Yep.
Because I had just finished playing Cyberpunk. I'm like, I just want to see how this runs. Ran real nice. And it looks so much better than Cyberpunk. That lighting does look good. Anyway, quit. I'll play you sometime in the future. Maybe. Because I don't have Immortals Phoenix Rising, but I have asked for it from a Secret Santa, so maybe. And maybe even if I don't get it, maybe I'll just be sad or something.
Or you can just borrow it from James.
I could.
This is something, I think probably the big box stuff has something to do with it. I've just completely backflipped on digital. Like now I'm like, I'm just going to get it physical.
I mean, basically, anything over a certain price, especially on consoles, it's
you're better off just getting it physical.
If it is a game that comes out physical, it's probably cheaper physical than it is digital. And they tend to be bigger games, so I'm not swapping them as much. It's like if I were to get all of my Switch games physical, for instance, I would have to have a giant wallet with me. It's like, oh, look, hey, isn't it awesome that I have to carry this thing for a game that lasts 2 hours?
Yeah. I think it's... And also because the games have gotten so expensive, I do like the idea of getting shit that I can just pass around.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, I'm meant to ask you, because I have not played Final Fantasy VII yet.
Oh, yeah, I can bring that around.
Yeah. It is... I was saying to James
It'll run really
episode,
well on your PS5.
Yeah. I was saying to James beforehand that Game of the Year stuff is coming up soon, and I was looking through the year, and I feel really inadequate in trying to say anything conclusively. Not that we do. It's very personal what we do with Game of the Year. But I'm like, I feel like half the big games in this year I haven't even touched. Because they're all big.
Yeah.
And they're all I have access to almost all of them, but and it's like, nah. And I keep getting distracted with all my shit, all my Spiritfarers and my I Am Deads. Oh, God, have I spoken about that on our show? Is it on my list? I probably have. Know. That's all fine.
Probably.
Do you remember talking about I Am Dead?
I don't know. I tune you out most of the time.
Shut up. Anyway, so PS5. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
but...
I wish it had a Game Pass. It'd be nice if it did. But their Game Pass is very token. It's sort of like,
Well, they don't have to do what Microsoft is doing because all their first-party big titles sell a cajillion copies, and they would be crazy to get rid of that revenue. So they're not going to. I think the comparison that I had keep being made is that Microsoft is going for a Netflix model, and Sony is going for a HBO model. They want lesser content that's more prestigious, that's more expensive. But it's like when those games come out, you know it. It's an event. And then they go and sweep the Game Awards, even for categories that they shouldn't.
I haven't looked at who won what category, so I don't know what I have to get mad about.
So, Last of Us 2, I think, won every category it was put in for. And admittedly, it is hard to argue against, because it's like, we're like, audio design, Doom Eternal should have won audio design. I'm like, should it? I mean, it's got a banging soundtrack.
Yeah. There's a difference between good audio design and
cool
soundtrack.
Music.
Yeah. Like
it's like the way that audio is, the technology behind it in Last of Us 2 is doing something very specific.
Yeah.
And very high end. It's like, it may not rock, but that's not what we're talking
what it's
about.
Yeah, it's not best soundtrack.
Now, it can. You could say that there's, and obviously Doom has more than just the music in its sound design, but it does not have the use of audio in its design the same way that Last of Us 2 does. Yeah. But they are hard to compare. I mean, most of the games I end up putting on stuff are like, it's like, how do you compare? I mean, what's a small game I've been playing? How would you compare Teardown to Ghost of Tsushima? There's not really. Yeah. They're different things altogether. That's what I've been playing on PS5. Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Runs it real well.
How you going with that?
Ghost of Tsushima. Have you played it?
I just watched Cheryl play it, so I haven't played it myself.
So it's very, very pretty. I like the way it's presented. I do like the feel of the combat. I feel like it's one of those combats that, after a while, it just becomes a bit rote. But at the same point, I don't play these games for long stretches, so I'm barely remembering the controls in between, so it's always a challenge for me. No, I'm enjoying it, but it's not high on my to-do list. I basically want to get a group of it, and then maybe in the holidays sometimes get people together to do the co-op thing. Because that seems like that could be pretty wild.
Yeah, that's probably what I should do. I'll probably end up just playing it enough to get the gist, and then the co-op stuff sounds really good. Yeah,
because it is very...
It's a big game.
It's very big, and it's very... Yep, that's an open world game. Speaking of things that are a bit dated and a bit like... Yep, that's what games are. Let's jump right through time to Cyberpunk 2077. So, the biggest game of the generation has come out to blow all of our expectations away.
We're probably in the wrong direction.
Yeah. I feel, not quite, I feel a little bit No Man's Sky, where everyone around me hypes to craziness, and I'm like, I don't know what you're hyping.
See, I'd say No Man's Sky was more of a clusterfuck in terms of what it promised and what it delivered.
Yeah, well, I mean, I go through this
for launch, yeah.
Because, well, other than, yes, there is one very specific interview where he says a big old fat old lie. Generally, it's like, no, I paid attention to what he said, and it was mostly fluster. I'm like, it's like 8 guys that lost all their work
and had to start again halfway through.
It's like they made Joe Danger. It's not, so I felt like at launch, I had a great time with No Man's Sky, and I played it for like 10 hours, and then like off you go, and then 2 years later I picked it up and go, it's a different game now. And
I really love it.
I'm a little bit similar with Cyberpunk, where I didn't really have much in the way of expectations, because it is kind of what it looked like to me, which is kind of just a Deus Ex in a boring open world. And it's very, like, its structures and a bit GTA-ish in a lot of it's just like, its structures are very... There's like, the structure, there's nothing particularly new about it. It's all very game stuff.
I think that there's parts of the game which I think are very, very good. I think the writing and the missions, like the animation, like
I'll just I'm not going to talk much about stuff because I actually have not played very much.
Okay, the shooting's surprisingly good.
I don't mind the shooting. I thought it felt nice. The slide and
there's a lot that I think is done very well. The bit where it really falls down for me is when you start to get to the open world stuff. Because when I first started playing it, I thought, okay, it's a big city. They've populated with a bunch of shit. The idea, like in my head, was that it's not Skyrim. It's like a condensed area, which means that they can go in and they can put lots of little things. And they can be, if I go down an alleyway, I'll find a little thing. Maybe there'll be like a body and there'll be a little note that I can read, or it's just stuff like that. Like I'd be rewarded for exploring. I don't think I've got a single reward for exploring in that game. If you walk off and just start going random directions, and I've probably played, I don't know, maybe like 7-8 hours of it.
Have you seen the title card yet?
No.
Okay.
No. So like
that doesn't mean you haven't played a lot, because the title card is like 7-8 hours in.
So this is
one of my friends, 16 hours they got to before they saw the title card.
When I first started playing it, I thought, all right, I'm going to do this kind of like how I do Skyrim, where I've got this quest, and I'm just going to kind of go, all right, whatever. You there's the main breadcrumb trail. But this is a game where I can go, be a bounty hunter, or I can go do whatever. I'm just going to walk off here and find stuff, but there's nothing to find. You will walk around, and you will find you might find a spawn of a gang which will attack you when you walk into it, but there's nothing interesting when you kill them. It's like, oh, you've just put some enemies there. There's no little bit of
you get some money for the job.
Yeah, there's no little bit of environmental storytelling. There's but the bit that I think is kind of inexcusable is when I was first in Night City, I left my apartment. I went downstairs, and this is like my first kind of encounter with like, all right, this is this emergent world where shit happens, and there was a couple of cops banging on a door, and I thought, oh cool, like there's something. They're calling, saying open up, and there's someone chatting aside. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, there's something going on here. So I step in. It's like I want to get involved, and I end up killing the cops, and then nothing. Like the world is populated by things that look interesting. Like next to them, there's a crime scene with like some cops looking at some shit. And I'm like, oh, cool. This seems like a quest introduction, but there's nothing. It's just like this really shallow kind of like set dressing they've added. And the bit that I really didn't like, it respawns. The exact same things respawn. So I had a situation where like I sort of picked a fight with a couple of thugs on the street, and I came back 5 minutes later, and they just respawned. I'm like, oh, well...
Hey, you're the guy that killed us.
I'm like, oh...
Hey, fuck you, buddy.
The exact same people.
Hey, it's Cyberpunk. Maybe
they did.
Maybe they had special health death insurance.
Yeah, maybe.
So, what I kind of loved about all the things you're saying there, it is a problem with messaging, and it's a problem with expectations, is that part of the way they were designed and always spoke about it was very close to sort of a Western CRPG. You're sort of like, I'm going to build a character, and I'm going to make my character, and what are they going to be? You know what kind of games CD Projekt has never made? A
CRPG?
Yes. Yeah. They made The Witcher 2, which is my favorite of the whole series. And in fact, the whole thing. And if you notice one of the things in all those games, you play a character called Geralt. And in this game, you play a character called V. And they trick everyone by saying, make your own V. Yeah. And which background do you want? But the thing is, you can never not play V. When you're in dialogue, you're not like, what would my character say? You're just, what does V want to ask about?
Yes.
And that is fine for me, because that I like playing a written character. But for people that wanted to play a fantasy of being a person in this cyberpunk world,
which is how it came across,
which is exactly how they sell. And I'm not holding that against the audience here. I mean, I know sometimes I'm a bit pretentious with that stuff. To go like, these stupid people didn't pay attention to the marketing. Blah, 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 blah. So it's a completely like, those expectations have been completely missold to people. Like even like in the people make a big deal during the character creator. You can choose your nipples and what kind of genitals do you want? Do you want a vagina or a penis? Only one vagina, 2 penises of different sizes. I mean, vaginas are just as varied. Come on, guys. But it's like, but why?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm still going to play the person with the exact same personality. And whilst that personality will change and reflect, and like you do make choices, and people splinter and remember things.
You can pick within the gamut of V.
Yes, but V is still a specific thing.
Yeah.
Which, as I say, I am fine with for a storytelling thing, but I do not think that's the fantasy that's been sold to people.
I think I would have preferred it if a lot of the open world stuff, because it's done just poorly, it just wasn't there.
Yep.
Like things like the driving, you mentioned it's a little bit like GTA, and it is a little bit like GTA in the worst possible way. It's like GTA in the way that I really didn't like GTA 4 and the juxtaposition between Nico and in the world.
I was going to say the driving especially reminds me of GTA 4.
Because, okay, I'm playing V, and you cannot drive sensibly. I think like I just hit a pedestrian, and now suddenly cops are being called, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm in a chase now. And
that's where it's a bit old school. I was hearing someone else talking about it, where it's like, if you stopped your car on the street, any other open world game now, the traffic will route around your car. this game doesn't. Like, you just come back and there's 20 cars lined up behind your car because it doesn't know how to get past it. I mean, it's the Cyberpunk world. Why doesn't the bloody flying car removal thing come in and throw your car on a roof or something?
I feel like part of the reason is last gen. Like, and that's a whole other discussion around this.
Well, I mean, it technically came out on last gen, and it is nigh unplayable for most people. Yeah,
this is I think pre-ordering is what fucked them and fucked them hard, because if there was no pre-ordering, all they could have done, they've gone, oh no, well, it's not coming out in last gen now. We're just gonna push it back a year, and we're just gonna release it on next gen consoles.
And I would say at least a year to fix this up, if not more. Yeah. If not, take some of this stuff back to the drawing board.
Mm-hmm. Like, the driving needs to be fixed. The open world needs a lot more work. Your story's fine. Your gunplay's fine.
There's a lot of things patched together in this world, which makes me think of a lot of teams that were working somewhat separately and then throwing their work together, because there'll be systems that should obviously work together and they don't do anything together. And it's like, oh, I really thought... And it is difficult. The very concept of an open world... futuristic world. Like, there's a reason why most open world games are medieval fantasy. It's like some swords, some cobblestone huts, like some fire spells here and there, but the ways that things can interrelate are quite limited. In a world of endless communication and technology and like identity can be anything you want. It's like things get complicated really, really fast. And just the density of the world. It's like I would bet that if you started looking at like the actual placement of unique things and everything to discover in that world, if you did that against like Witcher 3, there's probably the density is probably so much higher, but the problem is the world density is even higher. So it feels like that. But when you've just got like an open field and then a few kilometers away there's a few houses,
and I did think like, because it's a city, so like another example, like you might just walk onto a patio. And the thing is that when I walk into a patio with some tables and chairs, I expect that to have something going on. But if it's an open field, well, you can have a big grass open field.
Yeah, you can put as much grass as you want. Who gives a shit?
And I'm not expecting too much to be in that big grass open field.
Artists just sort of like paint the grass over the top. Oh, look, I made a square kilometer today.
So I understand, like, you know, or doors. Doors are another huge problem, because there are so many locked doors,
which of course there would be in a city,
which is fine, which they'll never be opened. And
you are a crazy tech god, so why would a door stop you?
And so I constantly come across like shop fronts where I'd be like, there's some weird sex shop, and I'm like, I want to go in that weird sex shop, and like there'll be a guard there, and he might say something, some canned response of not being like the NPC say, and I'll never go inside.
Nope.
And like, it's like, okay, here is this thing which I'll never see.
The level of unique art that's on the ground level when you're walking around all the stalls and the shops and the buildings and everything, there's so much work in there. It's like...
something else I would like is, I don't know if we eventually get it, but auto drive. Like, I feel like that would solve a lot, because I want to look at the world, but I don't necessarily... I've now figured out there's not a lot to actually find by looking at it. So if it could just be something like, sure, I could fast travel, but if I could just go, oh, hey, car, drive me here, and it's like, 30 seconds or something.
Which seemed a very Cyberpunk thing to do. In fact, not having driving at all might have been a better choice. Like, just autonomous cars, which zooms out to a map, where would you like to go? Click there, car drives there. And then and then it sort of even makes like your scripted like shooting sequences make sense as well. You could like give instructions to the car instead of trying to physically drive it. It's like, ram them now, motherfucker.
Because
the EMP.
When I'm just doing the missions, I really like it. That stuff is great. The storytelling is great, but it's just the whole framework around it. I've tried now quite a few times to like, all right, I want to enjoy this as an open world. Now I don't. I just go, right, quest, go do that, because I know I'll enjoy that part. If I look at the question mark is do the quest, I'll have a good time.
So I'm playing a lot of stuff, and I wanted to play some Cyberpunk so we could talk about it. But I feel I'm going to wait a few months.
I think at this point,
and then I'm going to mainline the main quest.
I think that's
because that's still a long quest. It's still like a 30-hour game if you just mainline the quest or whatever.
I don't know what their long-term plan is for this thing. Like, I know they talk about it being like a 10-year thing.
Well, there's a multiplayer mode.
There's multiplayer. Because you mentioned No Man's Sky, and like No Man's Sky was something where I could look at it, I could see, all right, this is a game where it's going to be about exploring planets. I can see how this can be extended into something that I really enjoy, but I'll come back later. Where I don't know what they're going to do to this to fix it.
Well, they're going to make sure that the penises don't hang out quite as much.
Like, they fix all the bugs.
It's not a bug. It's a feature.
I don't know. Like, do they add more world events? Do they add more things to find in the city? I don't know when this whole 10-year thing, or is it just we're going to just add more content, like more missions and things?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they take like a Witcher route and they add other stories.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expect, but that doesn't feel like it's solving at least the open world part.
I think there are some problems, and I think they can not necessarily fix some of the core problems in the design, but they can make them better.
Yeah,
like,
I guess they could have an expansion where, like, a bounty hunter expansion. Yeah. And then they use that to populate the world with some new systems and things like that.
And just basic things like the AI in the world. Like, there's a bunch of theories about why certain AI just doesn't seem to work. There's a bunch of, like, so much jank in the game. It's like, someone's stuck on a corner. They're just going to be stuck on a corner, whatever. Someone's T-posing over there. And all that stuff can sort of be fixed. And things like pathing and stuff like that. That stuff... Because if it is sort of thrown together at the last minute, it may be straight up that there aren't, like, they don't have pathfinding information for some areas and the AI is kind of working blind. So that stuff can be improved. Sort of the older feeling of it. I mean, I think that's the only reason that I feel that maybe it's good that they didn't delay it much further. Because if a game of this design came out in a year or two, it would feel very old, I feel. But yeah, it's a real mixed bag. It's real interesting.
Yeah, I think that I'll get a lot of fun out of it. Yeah. And, like, I know that I sound very negative about it, but there's a lot that I really like. And I know there's a lot of things in there which I'm going to get a lot out of. There's a little stories I'll have just from doing side missions and things like that. It's just more, I guess, a bit frustrating when I look at, like, all this extra stuff that just doesn't work. And then you've got it running on last-gen consoles. Yeah. And
which we've mentioned briefly, but...
There was a public apology about that recently.
And then they're like, and you can get a refund, but then they didn't tell Sony and Microsoft, and they're like, no, you don't get a refund.
Yeah.
So it's very awkward. I mean, on PC, it's been... Other than... And I haven't had any crazy jank. Yeah. I just had... Like, whenever first time I played it, every time I looked in a mirror, character was just naked.
I don't understand the problem.
Yeah, I was like, fine. I was like, oh, did I forget to put on clothes? Yeah. I went and checked, like, oh, no, I'm wearing clothes. Yeah. In fact, I can't take them all off, which is also kind of surprising.
The clothes thing is weird because they've tied the clothes to stats.
Yeah.
Which means that you can't... I'm constantly putting on shit I don't want to wear.
Yeah, you look... I think people's like... It's like every character in... Every version of V in everyone's game looks like a toddler that dressed themselves.
Yeah. But then it doesn't really matter because you very rarely see yourself. No. I mean, I pick my nail polish because I see that a lot. So it's like, at least I got some nice nail polish.
Graphically, I find it a real mixed bag as well. When I started the game, I started Corpo, which I picked because I thought it would be the least popular, so I'd have different stories. Everyone I fucking know picked Corpo, I was wrong. Yeah, when I heard that, I'm like, bloody... I should have just...
Well, it's the Deus Ex start.
I should have chosen Street Trash, which I am, and I always want to be. But it's like, everyone wants to be Street Trash, don't they? Like, it started in that office, and it looks okay. And then you get in, you do this fly around the city. I'm like, this doesn't look like much at all.
And in the building, there's also not a lot to discover.
No.
So I was making a lot of comparisons.
Some tiny trees.
Oh yeah, updating my drivers fix that.
Yeah. Cal has that problem as well, but updating his drivers didn't fix it.
That's a shame.
Yeah. So if people haven't seen tiny trees, for some people it seems to be NVIDIA hardware.
Yeah.
All the trees in the world just get drawn.
Yeah, the draw order's
anyway,
fucked, and it just gets drawn. Yeah.
So you'll be in a building, and there'll just be tiny trees all over the place.
Yeah. But like in my head, I was comparing it a lot to Deus Ex Human Revolution, and I remember I loved the hell out of not so much Mankind Divided, but the like the hub area or like the main area in Deus Ex Human Revolution, where it's like here's one building and a street outside. And we're just going to put shit in it. And you can sneak in and you can read this person's computer and you can go through the vent and do this. And like, I wanted that. But I understand at a city level, that's pretty extreme. But even in like the starting area, I wasn't really getting that.
That's also the game design. I guess the game design at that point is almost not direct, but kind of telling you, we don't want you to explore. We want you to go and do the bit of story and get out of here. Because this isn't your hub. This is a part of the introduction. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, so it's a real mix of philosophies.
Yeah. I think it's worth it. I think, like, even in its current state, like, I think there's a lot of game there that's good.
I do think they could have cut it down to be a bit more Witcher 2 and having very direct, like, no, this is what the story's about. Limit your options. Because, like, each of those... Witcher 2 works in a thing where you move from area to area, and those areas can be relatively large, but you're there to do part of the story, and you move on.
I think I would prefer this if it was an open world. It was, here's a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And, it's a couple, I don't know, kilometre square or
I
whatever.
mean, the thing I keep talking about is comparisons to the film Dread. It's like, if they'd just done one highly detailed building, it's like, I mean, you could have done all sorts of things there, had detail out the wazoo, but that's not the fantasy people want. Yeah. People want this, like, I'm exploring a cyber city.
I really miss the old school, just overworld map and the hubs to go to. Because that would have been great. I think if it was like... Yeah, just a little area, and then you get the overworld map, and you go, I'll go to this zone, this zone, this zone. I guess maybe a little bit Vampire the Masquerade. Yeah. Like, where it's like, here's just a bunch of little areas
he's just like, you go to this area of the city, and here's 3 streets from it.
Yeah, because that's honestly all I really need.
Which is a better cyber city? Cyberpunk or Scrapland?
Oh. Probably Scrapland.
Yeah, I need to go back to Scrapland now.
So let's see you find a big box of Scrapland.
Oh, fuck. I should I might even still have my Scrapland box.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
It had that Scrapland song. That was a good Scrapland song.
Oh, I don't remember that.
There was that song. It was a good song. I think it was in the Scrapland nightclub. How many people listening to this do you think know what Scrapland is?
0. and you'll forget by the time it comes out, so that's fine. Man.
American McGee Scrapland.
But remember, he has nothing to do with it.
No.
Because I think it was a South American developer, and he like saw it, and then the publisher's like, if you put your name on it, more people will buy it. Ads, I'm not signed in. YouTube, when did you get ads? Call of Duty, I don't care about that. Doesn't it know me at all?
I was pleasantly surprised to find out that I had a grandfathered Google Premium subscription where I pay less than... because they upped the price.
Oh, did they?
But I think that's about $15 a month Australian. But if you'd had it from the beginning, they just kept the old price.
Oh, okay. Apparently I'm grandfathered in too, because I don't pay $15 for it. Because I was I did their old music. Yeah. Which I don't remember what it used to be called now, because they kept changing the fucking name.
Google... I don't know. Can't remember.
Anyway.
Music Play or something like that. Hey, how about that Scrapland?
Scrapland. What a game.
Yeah.
Bring back Scrapland.
That run animation. I mean, they are robots, so they can get away with it pretty robotic.
Plenty of this looks fine. It's an old game. That's still a cool model.
Actually still looks pretty
fine.
good.
Yeah.
It's a very, what would you call it? Kind of like robot punk, maybe? Or it's got that kind of like bit of a 1950s kind of robot vibe to it.
Yeah, I just think of the Robot Planet in Futurama.
Yeah, actually, probably like Futurama robots. It's a lot like that style.
Our crippling lug nut shortage. Anyway, enough of that. We got too many real things to talk about. Okay,
more Scrapland, please.
Now, let's do news by me simply reading things that I like in the news and ignoring things I don't like. Okay. Okay. IO Interactive announced its new product. No, you can't look. I'm going to deliver you news.
Oh, I wanted to read the news. But
IO Interactive.
Yes.
Announced their new project.
What is it?
James Bond. And everyone was like, wow, what could be a better match? Hitman and James Bond. I'm like, no, you fuckers. James Bond doesn't do Hitman shit.
No, it's all action-y.
You know what he does? Kane and Lynch shit.
It's true.
I want some of those Kane Lynch 2 chase sequences with a shaky cam and everything. Yeah, baby, bring it in. I'm the only person that's in love with Kane Lynch 2. I mean, it destroyed half the gaming journalism industry, that game, but I still like it. Okay, so the hottest news off the press, James. I don't even have this on here. Did you see the Kojima news?
No.
So they had a big announcement, a big countdown, because it's their 5th anniversary.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for today. We'll be doing a big announcement. So they announced a digital wallpaper and some merch.
I don't know if Death Stranding's going to get a PS5 re-release.
It would be imagine stuff with those triggers. Feeling the weight in those triggers. Oh yeah. Okay, we are going to just run. So there was a bunch of like there was multiple Nintendo events since we last came in. So we're just going to... So there's a World Ends With You sequel coming out, which will be on the Switch and the PS5
it's
or PS4.
not another remake, an actual
actual
new
game.
sequel.
It looks really cool. That'll be there. Sort of brief industry news. Square Enix has now made a permanent work from home feature for their employees, which is a real big change, especially for Japan.
Japan, yeah.
It's going to be real interesting what the... Because a lot of home computer ownership in Japan is like nothing. No one does work offices or anything.
Well, their homes are super tiny.
Yeah.
Like, they're not the best work environments.
But part of the reason for that is also people wanting to be metropolitan
near the city,
because they want to be able to get to work. So if you change that...
then you have the people that are living 2 hours out of the city and they have to get training every day and... Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder... Because, like, Japan's got that issue with, like, you have to work as late as everyone else. I wonder if... this work from home is going to change that a bit.
You just do it like speed style and just put a little loop of your computer. That's all you need. I wonder what that was. Doesn't matter anymore. Skipping things. In the funniest move in legal cases, Apple have made their last move in the whole Epic cut debate.
This has been very silent since this power move.
So Apple said, you know what? You're right. We're going to cut our take from 30% to 15% for all software that makes less than $1 million a year.
That's so good.
Which really cuts into Epic's whole bullshit moral, we're doing this for the little guy.
Yep.
And also costs Apple effectively fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Because the amount of revenue they draw from all software at all that makes less than $1 million a year is something like 0.5% of their...
I know, it's beautiful. It's one of the best corporate power plays I've ever seen. Like that was Apple winning. I was just bravo, Apple.
Like, you cunning bastards. And all the same time, so they get to say that they look after the little guy, and Epic is now...
Epic just looks like a giant douche.
Yeah, it's still going to be interesting to see how that all plays out, but I mean, if I'm on a side, I'm not on Apple's side, but I cannot not pay that move. That was pure. Now Epic just has to go like, we also want to have more money. Fair. In surprise release news, do you remember Omori?
No.
So Omori was a kickstarted sort of Earthbound-inspired horror RPG. 6 years ago it was kickstarted. And it had it was soundtrack by Bowen at the time, which is one reason I remember it, because I really like Bowen's music. And it's coming out. They just dropped a trailer. It's out on Christmas.
So we might get Parasite Lost.
Maybe you'll get it one day.
We'll finally get Space Venture.
Yeah. Okay. Oh God, we didn't even cover this. The most exciting news of the PS5 launch, the game that didn't get released. So, do you remember Destruction All-Stars?
Oh, that was that rally one, right?
It was a Destruction Derby style thing where you could jump out of the car.
Yeah.
It looked pretty cool.
Yeah, that thing looked good.
And then they said, oh, by the way, it's a full-price game, $125 minimum.
Yeah.
And everyone said, fuck off.
Yeah.
And I think they heard the fuck off very loudly at Home Office, because they delayed the game. They said, no, it's not a launch game anymore. We're delaying it, and also it's going to be PS Plus free.
It's going to be PlayStation Plus. Yeah. And then it was great. Like, I'll
yeah, because I will download that day one and I will play it. And hopefully it's a real good game.
I love
and
then
hopefully
games.
It becomes something akin to Rocket League. Because that's how that's done. If you have a multiplayer-only game at a huge premium at launch when there's a small player base anyway, let alone one that wants to pay $125 for a multiplayer-only game, you're not going to have a good time. Yeah. I'm pretty sure any analyst could tell you that.
Yes.
And that includes just the number of freaks that launch that just buy everything, like me. Oh God, we'll talk about, even though the Quest 2 is sitting there, I think we leave all of that shit for another day, because there has been...
Yeah, well, you need to have a bit of a play with it first anyway.
Yeah.
To get your thoughts.
Well, just also all the weird back-end stuff that's going on.
Oh, all the Facebookness. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so PS5 you cannot plug the PSVR into it, and they have not announced the PSVR 2. You are able to order a dongle that's going to allow you to use the PSVR with it.
Don't have mine yet.
Neither of us have received ours yet. And one of the things that's interesting about it is that so there's games coming out that have VR versions of. So Hitman 3 coming out, you can play in VR. But if you can only play the PS4 version. So even though the game's coming out on PS5, if you want to use PSVR, you have to download the PS4 version and run it in backwards compatibility.
Yeah, it's so strange, isn't it?
Because the PS5 cannot access.
It's not because the actual sequel isn't out. Yeah, okay. I mean, I kind of get it, but it is weird. In slightly
interesting news though, and I have the game, but I can't play it yet because I don't have the dongle yet. What is it? Not Blood on the Sand, because that's 50 Cent. So it's a sort of like heisty VR game. I hadn't played it before. They've added a PS5 patch for the PS4 game. Okay. That adds some, I think, higher frame rate and higher resolution assets. So that will be interesting. People patching PS4 games for PS5 features.
This is the thing we want, like uncapped frame rates and things like that. Like,
oh yeah, and that's one of the things that's kind of shitty again about the PS5. There are, especially with Call of Duty, is one of the big offenders. People are accidentally downloading the wrong versions of stuff because it is not done clearly. Yeah. When we were making fun of that, what Xbox called it smart delivery, it's like it's just called downloading the version for your console. It's like turns out
it was actually a good feature,
a useful thing that isn't as obvious as we thought it was. Okay. Anyway, stuff. So there was a Nintendo Direct a few weeks ago, a while ago actually. Doesn't really matter. They showed some more No More Heroes 3, and they released No More Heroes 1 and 2 on the eShop. And I'll take a quick tangent here to say I bought No More Heroes 2 because I never really played it.
Oh, you played a lot of the first one,
I played the first one, which was good, except boy howdy do those...
I mean, good in...
Oh no, there's shit parts of it, which are the open world is the most empty, boring open world of all time. Cyberpunk is just like, you don't understand. And you, of course, had all the jobs, which are like, you know what's fun? Doing a repetitive menial task for 5 minutes. Like, no, thank you. So in the sequel, they got rid of the open world and they changed all the jobs into being arcade games. Yeah. So it's a lot more fun with that. And otherwise, the rest of the game is pretty similar. On the Switch, they all run really well. 2 is the only one I'm playing, but the first one runs the same from what I'm told. It looks sharp. It runs really, really nicely. I think it's at 60 the whole time. Yep. It feels like it either way. And boy, that game is just kind of satisfying at speed 'em up because by default, because it was a Wii game, it had motion controls. And you can play with motion controls, but you don't have to. But the motion controls were only for like specific like beats. Yeah. So you'd attack someone by mashing A, and then once they were down, you'd do like now I'm gonna cut your head off, or something. I'm gonna suplex you, or I'm gonna slice through you. And of those, you can just I think it did the same when they did a PlayStation version. You just push the sticks, and that still feels really good. It's like whack, bang, you just keep whacking through people. So that's really cool going back through, and hopefully 3 is fun too. They also announced, strangely, Hitman 3 in Control for Switch. And Control is out. It dropped that day. Not in Australia, though. Because...
Control I missed this bit. Yeah. So Control's on Switch.
Yeah. And you know how that's possible, right?
Runs at some really low frame rate.
Streaming. Like they did with Resident Evil in Japan.
Okay. Yeah.
Which does work, but there's no support in Australia. Yeah. I would not expect there to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave the rest of stuff from that. We're just gonna shoot through random.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we talk about Game Award announcements or Bugsnax?
Done with Bugsnax?
Let's talk about Bugsnax.
You didn't hit the record button?
No, I didn't. Even though I was holding the laptop on top. Okay, Bugsnax. The game of the year for everybody. Bugsnax was announced earlier in the year at PlayStation, like the Future of Gaming event or some shit. And it's a PS5 game. You can also get it on PS4 and PC. And from everything I've heard, you do not want it on PS4 because one of the things in this game is it's just in little hub zones, and even on the PS5,
those load times,
they're not. Well, you know what? The load time is fine, but for what we're used to on PS5 now,
Yeah.
it's not
The load time is fine for a PS4.
Yes.
On the PS5.
And on the PS4, it is abysmal. So,
Yeah.
but the general gist of the game is you are a journalist that's been called to come to an island, and there was an explorer there that's discovered this species of creature called Bugsnax, or many species of it. And there's a small society there, and she says, "Come here and report on it." But when you get there, she has gone missing,
Yep.
and everyone that was part of their little town has
splintered off.
So your job is to return everyone to town and find out what's happened to Elizabeth. What's her last name? I have it all written down. I did a very, very formal review on Z Games. And the general gist of how it was presented and everything is that you are... these Bugsnax are creatures that are food themed. So a little strawberry that runs around, a submarine sandwich that's a centipede, a giant flying pizza, things like that. Now, how far have you played, James?
I'm probably about a quarter of the way through it.
Okay. So I've actually platinumed the game. I've done everything in it. And it's an interesting game because it's sort of... everything you see in its presentation is... okay, it's sort of a world of creatures, so you think maybe a bit Pokemon-y, a little bit explorer-y. Like, you've got to catch them, so you've got tools, and it's not really catch them all. You do catch them all if you want to platinum, but you don't have to. And you don't catch the creatures to really do anything with them, except to feed them to other characters to deform them into horrible monsters. Because if you...
and you get to pick.
Yes. If you feed somebody a little submarine sandwich, and then you say... well, at the beginning, can you even pick?
No, it's not. You don't get it straight away.
Yeah, at the beginning, they just eat it, and then part of their body turns into a sandwich, which is fun. And later on, you get more ability to customize those characters.
Hair and things like that, yeah. Which I thought was like a nice little way to feel like make it mine.
Yeah. And so that's the general thing. It's a little bit puzzly, but it's not super heavy on that. Well, even something that's hard to catch at the beginning of the game, you'll eventually get equipment that makes it somewhat trivial. I
kind of like that there's a tiny bit of a puzzle to catching things, but it's not. It's enough where you're like, oh, I put this in this, and then like, okay, cool, I get it. At least like from what I played so far, there's no bugs where I've gone really scratched my head. It's like, how do I get
there's
this
no
thing?
like sit down head scratch and like there might be trying to find where they go or something, and it's just sort of observation and using the tools that you've got around. But the thing is, that's all that's in the marketing, and what the marketing doesn't show you is that that's not really the point of the game at all. The point of the game is all these characters in the town.
Because I notice when you first talk to someone, it'll say who they like and who they don't like,
who they
hate. Yeah.
And the complex relationships between these characters, why they've left, their personal relationships between each other, and you bring them together, and you sort of, as you feed them and they come back in, you'll get more and more of their individual stories. And the themes they discuss are actually quite adult. There's one of the core relationships in it is very much a relationship where one of them has chronic fatigue, basically. And I don't actually mean basically, I mean literally.
Yeah.
They've quite overtly discussed it. And as I'm watching this scene of these two food monsters, like one of them like crying about how like I don't have the same energy you have, and I feel like I can't contribute anything to our relationship, and the other person trying to console them saying it doesn't matter, I love you anyway. Like, who is this for? A kid's up. Like, this isn't like some like Adventure Time thing where it's like, oh yeah, it's got a dark theme or whatever, but it's still a lollipop land. It's like, no, they're just talking about chronic fatigue syndrome.
Is this why it was a PlayStation Plus game? Was it just like who is it for?
Well, no, I think it was a PlayStation Plus game because one, it was going to be ready, and I actually think it needed a little bit longer to bake because it is not super polished.
It was a bit rough, and I was surprised by some of the performance issues.
The amount of times I got stuck in geometry in this game was not acceptable, and that's stuff that, and I feel they probably did push it for release.
Yeah.
But I think it came out because it was a quirky thing that got a lot of notoriety throughout the year. It's like, hey, that Bugsnax thing, I'll download that. And I bet most people really only played like the first hour or two. It was like, oh, this is cool. I'll come back to this once I'm done with COD. And they never do. Because they're playing more COD. Yeah. But I found it very interesting. Besides me, I don't know who else is really after this weird, quirky relationship drama.
Relationship Pokemon
But
monster
I really
thing.
enjoyed it. And at one point, I discovered a terrible, terrible thing I could do. And I classify it as the worst thing I've ever done in a video game.
Oh, really?
and it just let me do it. And later on, I found it actually does kind of encourage you to do it, but it hadn't even told me yet. I did it all on my own. So that was good of me. I really enjoy it. Later on, Bugsnax get a status effects, like they might be hot or cold, which means if you don't really know what you're doing to catch them, and you get attacked, like you get frozen or you get set on fire, and it interrupts you doing stuff, so it can get a bit annoying. My general gist is, if you're getting annoyed at trying to interact with something, you're doing it the wrong way. There's pretty safe ways of dealing with everything in the game, and there's boss ones as well. And probably, like, they also, like, multi-phase things in the last phase probably does get a little bit more on that. Hey, look, if you don't know what you're doing, every 2 seconds they hit you with a status effect, and that's bloody annoying for a game that isn't a Twitch-based game. But generally, I had a very good time interacting with the creatures and working out how to catch them and everything. The ending, which had been a few cool things had been said, like it was reminiscent of Spec Ops: The Line or The Last of Us 2. Very much oversold with those things. The ending is okay, and the very ending leads itself to potentially more Bugsnax to come, which I don't know if they have any plans to or not, which is one of those things I would like them to reiterate on this concept and make a little bit something more of it, because it does kind of feel like a first pass at the idea. The world is a little bit small, doesn't run particularly well. And, like, they're not a technology studio. They did Octodad. But I'm surprised that a game that isn't a big physics showcase is just as buggy as Octodad was.
Well, I remember watching, like, the frame drop because there was a bunch of alpha on the screen. I'm thinking, like, what is this game doing? Like, this is a PS5.
It's not graphically impressive. Like, the art style is fun, but it's not like, wowee, look at this.
Well, what is?
I really enjoyed it, and if you got a PS5, I recommend checking it out. But it's not like this isn't going to be blowing anyone away particularly. It's just a really unique game. If the idea of watching food monsters cry at each other. We think so. Even the when I was saying she before, the adventurer, her name is Elizabeth.
Yeah,
and everyone is kind of like gendered, but not gender specific, and some of them are obviously in same-sex relationships, but other ones more questionable. And it's like not an issue, like not a theme at all. It's just like they like each other, whatever. Like there isn't like the one side story about someone that's like homophobic or something. Like no, it's just we're worried about other things, because I suppose the other big thing is the analogy of Bugsnax. At work, Callum didn't want to play it because I don't want a game where I'm eating sentient creatures. I don't really think they are. And the story goes on, and you don't really have to worry about that. That is actually still explored as a plot line, but don't worry too much heavy about that. But the analogy I use is they're drugs. Like, these people are addicted, and that addiction has shaped their lives, and that takes many different forms throughout the game. There's people that are trying to like go tell turkey, people that's without being, and that's like not directly discussed. But I think that's a pretty easy parallel to draw with the way some of those characters are in the game. And then it's a somewhat happy ending. Because it also is kind of a kid's game. It's that chronic fatigue drug kids game that everyone's talking about. But yes, shall we Game Awards?
Yes.
Okay, let's keep going through stuff. Okay, so Game Awards happened. Last of Us won most of them. Weirdly, the one that I was most taken aback by was Mortal Kombat 11 getting Best Fighting Game.
What other fighting games were there?
Oh, just a bunch of like hardcore fighting games that the fighting game people like, but because like Mortal Kombat 11 is just like a really fun game, but it's not like a respected fighting game. It's just like what you play for fun. Yeah, like the tournament.
I guess that does feel funny, because if it's meant to be the best in the genre, do you go the popular one or do you go the well executed one?
Yeah, because it certainly is way more mainstream than the other ones.
I feel like it should be the well-executed one.
But it's the Game Awards, so why do I really care at all?
Well, I'm just thinking about Disco Elysium picking up a bunch of stuff. Like, if it was going to be like a popular vote.
But it did win. Did it win anything at the Game Awards?
I thought it did.
We'll have to check last year's.
Yeah. I thought it picked up some stuff. Maybe I'm mistaken. But yeah, what else was there?
Oh, that just won everything.
Oh, it's just Last of Us got everything?
Among Us got, like, best the...
Among Us.
Oh, Disco Elysium got best independent game, apparently. Yeah. Let's go. Let's check again this year, because, like, no one cares about the actual awards at this thing, so that's why they're not in my notes. It's sad but true. Last of Us won 7 awards.
Jesus.
So, Game of the Year, design. There was a weird thing where there was an article written about a game made out of crunch with allegations of mistreatment should not be able to win a best directed game. Like, I think you got a different meaning of direction than that they mean in the awards, because they don't mean the best run studio.
Yeah.
If we had to take that into account when we were saying best direction of something,
cool.
there'd be a lot of things that can't.
Could you
Stanley
imagine,
Kubrick can never win anything.
Can you imagine if you took that into the movies? Like, those directors are monsters.
Yeah, there's a bunch of assholes. And I'm not excusing them, I'm just saying that's just not what they're awarding.
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima got the audience choice, and I think it got something else as well, the art direction.
Yeah,
which, that's the thing. It's like there's nothing that I can argue on any of this stuff. Last of Us, won this stuff. Weird ones, like they have an award for most anticipated game. What's the point?
And what could that?
Elden Ring. A game we know literally nothing about.
Yeah, but it's anticipated, so yeah.
Well,
sure.
I mean, it is very anticipated. In fact, the only thing we have is anticipation. Among Us got multiplayer game, which is funny for a game that is 2 years old.
Yeah, that's true, but I think we should let them have it.
Yeah. Oh, Phasmophobia got best indie game. That's kind of weird. But all right.
That one's like the Ghost Hunter style thing, isn't it?
Yeah. We should play it at some point. Half-Life Alyx VR game.
Yeah.
There's the strategy category, which I'm just looking for here, which had like Crusader Kings 3, but it lost to Microsoft Flight Simulator.
What, strategy?
No. It was simulation or something it was put under. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Flight Simulator, that was doing something pretty special.
Oh, yeah, but it's just such a weird
It is
category.
a weird thing, yeah.
That's where I'm like... And again, it's like, I don't think any of these are... I'm not up in arms about anything. They all seem... Oh, no. Apparently it is listed as strategy game, at least on the Google website. I think it's strategy/simulation. That's right. Tell Me Why won for games for impact. Which I was like,
is that the Don't Nod one?
That's the Don't Nod one. And it's the Don't Nod one that no one really talks about. It was up against like Spiritfarer and shit like that. I'm like,
Wasn't it a bit on the nose?
I haven't heard anything particularly bad from it. It just hasn't had much impact. I mean, games for impact that didn't make much impact.
Yeah.
I mean, give me Spiritfarer, damn it. Anyway, cool. But anyway, so that stuff.
It seems like a perfectly cromulent list.
Yeah. I mean, it does get a little bit boring when one thing just like sweeps almost everything, but at the same point, it's a very well-made video game.
It was very good.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's got an agenda, and that is to kill dogs. Those poor doggies. That's right. Where is my list? Episode 284 of 17 halves. Anyway, now let's talk about what we really care about, which is the announcements and trailers with some real bangers. Yeah. Now, James, did you pay close attention to everything?
I did have a look at what was announced afterwards.
Okay, so I probably can't surprise you with too many.
No.
Okay, so we got a look at the Initiative's new game, and the Initiative is that first-person super team that Microsoft put together a few years ago, and it's exactly what we all thought it was, which is Perfect Dark, which is slightly confusing because does anyone really have strong nostalgia for Perfect Dark?
The first one, kind of.
Do you?
No, not me personally, but I know a bunch of people do.
Okay.
And the second one, less so.
Joanna Dark.
Yeah.
She's back in a world of climate change and drones. I mean, it was a cool trailer, but it was all a pre-rendered thing. Who knows what Perfect Dark is these days? Got to see our new fighter for Super Smash Bros. It's that one-winged angel, Sephiroth. Look, all I want to do, I need confirmation that the amiibo has a wing. Because if it doesn't, I don't fucking need it. But if it does,
you're there.
I fucking need it.
It'll have a wing.
Better. They pretended to show some Dragon Age 4. And it has a bald elf in it, which we already knew anyway. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No. BioWare's kind of off my radar.
I'll jump forward, and they also pretended to show some Mass Effect.
Yeah,
which they did at least show one thing, which is that it's a continuation of Mass Effect, which we all expected anyway. But I mean, like, I made a meme afterwards because I was so annoyed at all the headlines everywhere. And my meme was the distracted boyfriend meme, walking with the girlfriend and then looking behind. It's like, gamers walking with original games close to release, looking back at franchise games years from any kind of... It's like, oh, great. Yeah. Mass Effect, yeah. You realize that's 2 to 3 minimum, probably 4.
It'll probably be after Dragon Age 4. And Dragon Age 4
it's after Dragon Age 4.
Yeah, Dragon Age 4 ain't out.
Well, it's like,
soon.
2-3 years ago now when I was at work and I was talking to a tradie who, he's like, oh, video games. I like video games. And he's like, oh, I saw they just announced new Elder Scrolls. I can't wait. I'm like, you realize it's like a decade away, right? Yeah. He's like, what? Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yeah, not even like an exaggeration. Like, there needs to be Starfield. And then there needs to be new Elder Scrolls.
They literally have not started development. Yeah. They just put out a thing that said it's going to happen. And he was basically, he realized that the kid he just had will be old enough to play it by the time it comes out.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, man. Yeah. It's but that was that was the only bit of news he knew from, I think it was E3 then. It's like these only E3 news. Like, Elder Scrolls is coming.
Like, Microsoft, did they step in and actually get them to be a well-managed studio? Yeah, maybe. It'll be out 6.
All right, we're talking about Elder Scrolls.
Yeah,
I thought we were talking about Mass Effect. And it was like,
no.
Microsoft. Yeah. Microsoft don't own BioWare now, do they?
No. Wait.
There's genuine confusion in our minds, isn't there?
EA's got BioWare.
Yeah, that's what
Microsoft, they don't own EA yet.
No, not yet.
And Disney doesn't own Microsoft yet. So I think...
Speaking of acquisitions, to just think another thing. So Take-Two bought, I believed, Codemasters.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, and then talking today is like, oh, did you see what I think it was EA. Yeah, see what EA did to 2K? Like, what are you talking about? Oh, they just bought Codemasters. Like, what? But it was like 2 months ago. Didn't they? Like, no, the deal hadn't gone through yet, and EA just like threw a couple $100 million on top of it. So we'll have them. Yeah. It's like, sorry, 2K. No acquisition of driving games for you.
Do they have Dizzy? Was that Codemasters?
They at least released one Dizzy, but I don't know who has the actual rights. They probably do because the brothers don't. Okay. Yeah. So I'm getting lots and lots of breathing in your mic. I think you're nosing into it.
There we go. How's that? That better?
Are you breathing? Hopefully I can EQ
getting
that
a
anyway.
CT scan tomorrow.
It'll be fun. Oh, fun!
Yeah.
Is that again to your passing out problems?
No, I accept that's just part of who I am.
This is just fun, yeah?
No, this is to check out my chronic sinusitis. Basically, chronic sinus infection.
Oh. I never knew.
Well, you know how I cough a lot?
No.
Apparently, I cough a lot.
Oh, well, I do too. Maybe I should.
Well, see, my brain filters it out. So I didn't notice my coughing. But apparently, I cough a lot.
I cough in bed a lot.
Yeah. And I have smelly sneezes.
What?
I have smelly sneezes.
Do you smell them or other people?
No, I get other people commenting on them. Apparently, it can be a symptom of chronic sinus infection, basically.
The idea of someone commenting on the smell of my sneeze seems quite... What are you, dogs?
So yeah, I thought I'd get it checked out to see if there's anything actually going on in my head.
That's interesting. I mean, it is.
Yeah, no, it's nothing which it's not detrimental to my quality of life. It's just one of these things where my quality of life could be slightly better.
But other people have to smell your fucking sneezes. So.
That's part of it as well. Like, people don't like the smell of my sneezes. Like, I could look into this because I sneeze a lot.
I mean, I don't know. You haven't done it at all this show.
No. But like, I will sneeze multiple times.
You bottle them all in. Oh, multiple times during a... I mean, that just sounds like a human being at this point.
How many sneezes do you reckon you're doing?
You know, sometimes when it's dusty, get a bit sneezy, and like when there's a lot of pepper in the air.
I think I sneeze more than the average person.
Well, we'll have to measure. Maybe I do too.
It's like me and my dry skin pole.
Oh, God. Fucking... You know, I get a lot of dust because I have dry skin, so I get a lot of dust in my house. So, when's the last time you dusted? Well, I don't, because I get a lot of dry skin.
It might have something to do with sneezing.
You piece of shit. Okay. The most exciting game at the Game Awards for some of us Vin Diesel was suddenly on screen in a pretty good but slightly creepy looking man in prehistory times.
Straight out of the Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it looked great, but other people found it creepier than I did. But oh well, fair enough. So he's prehistoric man. Starts fighting a T-Rex, which is always pretty sexy. And keeps going, and then there's a bit of sci-fi stuff, and then at the end of this Vin Diesel thing, we're like, is this a Turok reboot or some Vin Diesel vehicle? It comes up Arc 2.
Yeah.
And everyone just like loses their shit online. Like, what the fuck? What does Arc have to do with Vin Diesel in this like epic story thing? So, some sad news. I thought that Arc 2 might just be a completely different kind of game.
No, same thing.
Still a survival game.
Yeah.
It's, Xbox,
still something I won't enjoy.
Yeah, Xbox and PC exclusive. Oh, I mean, it might be enjoyable. Can't say for that.
I haven't really got into survival games before.
Yeah, but we did play through that entire 20 minutes of Grounded.
Oh yeah, is there any more of that out?
They have added some. There's a koi pond update.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I think that we'll play it again in about 2 years.
I was thinking about just going in and building it in a nice little village so that when we came back, there was a thing. Hope I didn't lose my save when I rebuilt my computer. Hopefully it's online. Like all good things. Anyway, and then they said not only have we got Arc 2, we're also announcing the Arc animated series.
With Vin Diesel?
With Vin Diesel, Russell Crowe, Gerard Butler, Elliot Page, Michelle Yeoh, David Tennant, Malcolm McDowell, Jeffrey Wright, and Carl Urban.
Jesus Christ. And Carl Urban. Throw him in there.
Jesus. They make a lot of money.
Yeah. How do they get all of them?
Yeah.
They give them stock. They're getting paid in Arc.
I mean, it's a hugely popular game.
Yeah.
And I think they don't spend a lot of money on it.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's cool. I saw some more Returnal. There was a very fun video released by Devolver Digital where they had their own game awards. And it was the Game Awards for 2021. Yeah. And the game of the year to Loop Hero, which they just announced then by giving it an award. Which is an interesting little little roguelike. Look at that.
It's kind of like a tower defense, but heroes. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it's kind of like weird.
Tower defense roguelike-y. Yeah, it's a bit strange. Yeah, but it looked interesting. Okay, so then some totally new games, and I like these. I'm just going to go totally new games from now on. Maybe with Okay, Tchia, Tchia, Tchia. It's based in New Caledonia, so it's a cute little little girl running around. Looked nice. Yeah, I mean, a naff for a comparison is Breath of the Wild, probably closer to Rime or something like that. And then she turned into a crab. And then
Paul was sold.
I was like, oh, there's things going on now. So yeah, it's a bit like Mario Odyssey where you can possess all these things around the world. I'm like, oh, I like this game. It looks very fun. So yeah, a good trailer. As I said, it starts off a bit standard and then it starts going to some wild places because that crab's just a start, baby. We saw some, skipping a few things, Century, Age of Ashes.
Don't know what that is.
It's a dragon game.
Oh, yeah.
It's like dragon dog fighting.
People like
with dragons. It's called
yeah.
Dragon fighting. Okay, that's all I got to say. Then we finally saw some of Back 4 Blood, which is the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead.
Which we played not long ago.
Yeah, like
a couple of months ago. Month or two, yeah. So, I had two reactions after this. One was, is it possible for Turtle Rock to soothe themselves? And so is this Turtle Rock making it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Turtle Rock putting the literal in spiritual. Because it is just Left 4 Dead. It is the group of 4 characters with guns and Molotovs and special infected that come out to break up the group.
But I think especially after playing Left 4 Dead, I kind of want something a bit more.
Well, and then so the trailer was cinematic, but there is gameplay out, and I want to watch that. And it is just Left 4 Dead. They've added a card system. Okay,
that's not going to necessarily better. In fact,
which is just like it's basically just exposing part of the director. It's like, oh, this round you'll have spitters and you'll have boomers. It's like, okay,
I kind of prefer to not know that.
Yeah, it's like I don't really understand the point of exposing that. I think you might be able to choose.
Yeah,
but Yeah, and that was the thing. When I went back and played Left 4 Dead, I was like, oh, I remember having fun with this. But as soon as we died, we were like, oh, we'd have to go back and redo that. Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
We are finished. This game was cool, but the gunplay and everything... And
the gunplay's not so
the
great.
gunplay looked the same.
Yeah.
Because a game had already taken my heart from the Left 4 Dead mantle beforehand, and its somewhat sequel got shown off here as well, which was Warhammer 40k Darktide.
Yeah.
And that game looks bloody banana.
Yeah. So what I really liked with that is that the previous trailer was just like for like not Imperial Guard,
Yeah.
and that was like, whatever. This like we weren't really characters. For this one, it's like no. There's like the really big dude and like the cool lady with the staffy thing. And
We obviously know a lot about 40k.
but it looked like good times.
The Vermintide games are phenomenal.
Yeah, and I like there's still lots of melee, but being 40k, there's going to be more weapons, like more guns. I'm super keen. I'm so keen because like Vermintide 2 it's really good.
Yeah. My feeling at the moment is I have my weekly Deep Rock Galactic game.
And it's probably going to be.
I feel like it might shift to Darktide when it comes out.
Yeah.
And there was one other 4-character zombie slaying game announced. That was Evil Dead. And I can't remember the 4th character.
Yeah.
So you can play Ash.
Yeah.
And it takes off from the TV show. And then there's the female lead from the TV show, whose name I can't recall. And Arthur, the knight. And one other.
I really need to watch more of the TV show.
I really enjoy the TV show.
Because like what I have watched, I have really liked.
There's one episode that has the most cum I've ever seen.
And that's what actually got me
show.
back into watching it. I saw I saw the cum episode, or the snippet of the cum episode, and I was like, I'm in. I've got to go back and watch this show. This is amazing.
I mean, and Evil Dead's difficult because Evil Dead has been about 5 different things, and some of them are super goofy, and some of them are semi-serious dark comedy. I mean, they've all got an edge of comedy to them, but sometimes it's straight up Three Stooges.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the remake was probably the straightest I've seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even then, it has its its comedy is comedy and like extreme horror. It's like you can't do that. And apparently, there's another film being made. Okay. And I was very disappointed because it doesn't. Bruce Campbell is producing, but not in it.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. But also, Jen Levy's character's not in it. It's just it's another new set of characters doing something. Okay. So I'm like, I kind of wanted
that to be the...
I liked the reboot. I wanted that to see that extended.
The reboot.
Yeah, I really wanted it to cross over with the original series. That would have been great. Yeah. Her finding an aged Ash. Literally, like she should... Somehow, she'd have to go into his house and literally steal his mantle. And maybe beat him to death with it. You don't just take a man's mantle. For one, it's part of the fixtures of the room. So that was exciting. So Back for Blood was where we started with that. I mean, hopefully it's good, but yeah. The Callisto Protocol.
What's that one?
So this is a spiritual successor to Dead Space.
Okay.
And the character starts in a prison.
I won't play it, but
and it is. What do you mean? We played all the Dead Spaces.
Well, I'll play it and hold Paul's hand.
That's fine. And like it starts sort of on the back of the neck of the prisoner is like a health bar, basically, effectively. Dead Space. That's a Dead Space choice. You put it on the character.
You did the Dead Space thing.
It's a good idea. You did it. There's some monsters in a prison or whatever. No gameplay scene, but you don't get a thing of it. So here's the weird thing, though. Guess what universe it's in?
I don't know.
Think of a very popular game that spun up some other studios to build an extended universe in the last 3 years.
Okay.
It was, I'd say 3 years ago, potentially the biggest online game.
Oh.
It used a lot of purchased assets.
I'm going to kick myself when you tell me.
It's in the PUBG universe.
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Sure, why not?
I don't know what that implies to know if I care or not. But the game looks interesting at least. And yeah, it looks like it's got some budget. And Dead Space is an amazing series. So good to see. New game by Fulbright, makers of Gone Home and Tacoma, which I have mixed feelings on. It is a road journey. Going.
Is this someone taking your game idea?
No, but
Not
other
quite.
games did.
Yeah.
A mother and daughter going on, and it's the only thing that I thought was particularly interesting. So it hasn't grabbed me yet. Is that the world? You're in a car, it's 3D, going through landscapes, all 3D. Your character and the mother, 2D hand drawn animated in the car. So like there's just 2D animated hands like looking at a map in front of the 3D world. It looked quite nice. So that's okay.
Yeah, it almost gives me some kind of like. I was going to say like early 90s shooter vibe or something like that.
Or Last
like
Express, something. But that was not my favourite of the road trip games. Perhaps my favourite came from the team that made Valiant Hearts, and it was called Road 96. So it is a road trip game which is quite narrative driven, but it's also procedurally generated just doesn't do it right. It's randomly generated in that you're hitchhiking and the encounters that you encounter can be are randomized. Okay. So it's very cinematic. Like it's not abstracted in any way. It seems like if Dontnod made like really good looking games, like it does look very nice as well. But I think that the order of what things can happen, it's like, if you don't want to go with someone, you could just skip that story and find another story.
I just, like sometimes you get an idea and it starts ticking over in the back of your head. So I was internally out there, I was running with Ivan Milat video game. Because it's procedurally generated hitchhiking game where you play through a series of hitchhikers. Yeah. And most of it can just be random people. Yeah. But eventually Ivan Milat. Yeah. And then cut and then someone else. And you just slowly learn more and more about the story through iterating over being murdered by Ivan Milat. And
the thing is, even though this isn't going the Ivan Milat route, what I like about it is exactly the kind of feelings you were just having then. Like, this could be a way of, I could build a story like this and make a personal story and everything. And apparently you're trying to escape some fascist state or something. I don't know the overall story. But I was like,
because I especially like the idea of if you picked up by... say different. I assume you're playing the same character in this, but if it was different characters, you'd be picked. Like what changes is the player, but you're re-encountering the people that pick you up.
Yeah, well, hopefully there's like that sort of crossover and stuff. Yeah. I know from the trailer, at least 2 people that pick you up are like criminals that like rob a diner you stop at or something. And they're like, that's cool. So hopefully that's good. And then there was another game which I'm going to throw in here, which isn't quite a road trip but similar. It's called Season, and it is gorgeous. You are a character, and you're on a bike, and you have a camera and a recorder, and you're exploring this very beautiful, almost Studio Ghibli-esque world. From what I can see, just sort of like exploring and cataloging creatures and stuff. And sort of the idea, and I do like morbid games. It's like, yes, the generations before us, they had uses, but this is the last season. Like the world is coming to an end. This is the last season. Yeah. So you're just trying to like get what you can before the end or whatever. It's very nicely designed graphics. It looks very high end. The key art's amazing as well. But it's like, I can get that. And that's something coming out this year. I think it's PlayStation 5 exclusive. But yeah. Anyway, so games that we already like. Disco Elysium is getting more content.
Yes.
And it's quite exciting.
And coming to the console that I want.
Yeah, so Disco Elysium is coming to console, and it is releasing the final cut at the same time. The final cut adds a bunch more story, and also voices every single line in the game. Well, currently the game sort of has barks, but not fully voiced. And I do see an argument about not wanting it fully voiced. Often you can read faster than they speak, and also you give people your own... The best actor is the person in your head. Yeah. But also... playing it on console, not always easy to read text, and sometimes I'm a bit tired and I could just listen rather than reading, honestly. I like the option being there.
Yeah, because I haven't finished Disco Elysium. When I was playing it, I always felt like this would be... It's basically a visual novel. Yeah. I really like the idea of just having this in my Switch and lie on the couch or something.
Yeah.
Even iPad, I could see probably be a pretty good fit for something like this. So yeah, I was very excited to hear that it was coming to console.
Yeah, it'll be. I think it's very cool. And they announced a special edition. $250 US. I guess.
These limited edition things get expensive.
Oh Jesus Christ! Like, it looks real nice, but no, thank you. I would, but no, it's fine. Skipping some more stuff. So much stuff. Microsoft Flight Simulator has finally been announced that it's actually coming to Xbox now. About time.
Yeah, that one's been coming for a while.
You excited for It Takes Two?
Remind me what it is?
It Takes Two is the next game by the director of A Way Out. The stupidest written game of all time.
Oh, are we going to hate play it?
Well, I think it looks really good.
But remember, the A Way Out started really good.
Do you remember what it looks like?
No.
Oh, so this is like two puppet people doing a bunch of mini games together.
I was just remembering the mini games from A Way Out.
Oh yeah. So, like it looks pretty fun. It's very bright, colorful. Looks really pretty. And it becomes like it's like, oh look, they're a man and a woman, and they're like, it's an analogy exploration of a relationship. Fine. Hey, person watching the trailer, but do you want to know what's really going on? Let me show you a picture of them as humans before they became dolls, and let me continually explain over and over again that this is about a relationship. It's the real layer that's going on behind. It's like, yeah, everyone got it from the base premise. You are not a clever writer. I'm sorry, Mr. Man. I know you think you're a very clever writer, but you are bad. You're a bad writer, but you make some fun video games. So let's stop being clever and just... The premise is fine. James and I can work on our marriage. It might make us even stronger. But you don't have to tell us the secret behind it all. Anyway.
We'll probably play through it.
Yeah, I thought it would be fun. And it does the same thing as A Way Out, where only one person needs to buy it, and then they can play it with anyone else. That's really good. It does, some stuff. Like, it does everything. It's like 3D platforming, side-scrolling platforming, lots of mini-gamey stuff, sometimes split screen, sometimes same screen, like using all the same technology and ideas from A Way Out, hopefully with a much less stupid story.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's a bunch of dolls and not trying to tell an actual, like, dramatic, real-world story. Because, boy, how was that? I cannot...
Hey, look, the first act was good.
Look, the first half of that game...
The prison part is very good. And even, like, the getting out when you're after the escape, when you're first out, that's very good.
And even when you're first, like, even when you're at that farmhouse, other than the fact we were playing horseshoes, wasn't that bad. Yeah. And then... oh, boy, howdy.
Yeah.
Anyway. Stupid game. Among Us is a new map coming. Blah, 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 blah. They announced a whole bunch of crap coming to Fortnite. So in Fortnite, they got crossovers with Red vs. Blue, Master Chief. You can play Blood Gulch in there now. Daryl Dixon's
every
there
now and then,
as Michonne. And so is Kratos.
Every now and then I go back to Fortnite hoping that the Battle Royale part's gone.
You can play without the Battle Royale part.
Because they have some weird game mode section there.
It's like some creative mode or something.
Because like
just go and fish.
I like the idea of playing I don't know, Blood Gulch if it's in there.
Yeah.
But the whole Battle Royale part, I'm just not interested.
No, neither am I.
I was still disappointed having any more game modes in Apex Legends.
I think they were adding something.
They just add.
Oh well, they did add like a PvE mode. But
yeah.
You had to play the PvP to get like a credit to do it or something. Yeah. So like, well, I'll never do that. Anyway, so what else should we talk about? There's too many things that they've done.
I mean, honestly, you can skip my stuff.
Look, we'll probably
I really like 2 Crowns.
So, games that I have... look, I can do a very quick review of Carto. Carto was a game I've already mentioned on the show before. It's sort of top-down Zelda-like, as in thinking of presentation. But the whole concept, and it sells Deliver the concept in the intro. None of this bullshitting around like, oh, let's start on a normal day for this and go out to this forest. And what's that? We found a magical item. Nah, intro. You and your grandmother in an airship. You're cartographers. You got a map. Hey, look at this. If I move the one piece of the map to the other side of the map, the actual world physically changes around us. That's our magic power. Done it. Gone.
I like that.
Airship crashes. Off you go. Oh, piece of map scattered around. Okay, so that's it. It gives you the entire premise and pretty much not the implementations, but pretty much your main mechanic from the beginning. 10 seconds in, great. So yes, the world is divided into a grid, and you pick up map pieces, and you go to the next part of the world by opening your map, opening that next piece, and placing it next to it. Now you can't just place anything anywhere. There are rules, so you have to put land border next to a land border, and so on. But it also means that a game like this never needs a fast travel system, because
you just pick up the piece that you want,
and put it next to where you currently are. You walk straight to it. And so it does a bunch of puzzles of things like, so one of the very early ones, you meet a guy who goes, oh, I need to go home to my house. It's at the beach to the east of the village. So you get the village, and then you put a beach piece to the east of it, and then the house appears there. So
that's cute.
Great. It's broken into like 5 worlds, all that you expect. Like a grasslands, a teased forest, a frozen area of
There's some lava area in there.
Yeah. Like all your standards, a sand area. It's like got all your base stuff. Each one throws in a bunch of mixes to it. Probably about the worst thing. Like, it's not a super hard game, but it doesn't always telegraph exactly what it wants. So there are a few times where I'm like, well, I've spoken to everyone, and they've said, we wish this would happen, and I don't know exactly what they're talking about, and there's no other clue. And I just got through it eventually. One of them was, and I suppose I'll slightly spoil it here, just because so you know it's a thing that it can happen. I'm not going to spoil the actual puzzle. Is that sometimes things that you're doing can appear on the map. So sometimes if you're like, I thought I was trying to activate something, and it's like it doesn't do anything. Had to open the map to see what it was doing. And that had never been used as a mechanic before, so I'm like, okay, so I know that's a possibility space now. And after that, it was not a problem again. It's short. It's like probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours or something. Doesn't overstay its welcome. It's uncomplicated with fun. Like, the characters are generally fun. It's not funny, but it's charming, and they're enjoyable to be around.
It's a Switch thing?
So it's on Switch. It's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I guess it's on everything. It's on Switch and Game Pass. And it's on PS5. I mean, PS4.
Yeah.
So you can play it on everything.
And on PS5 then.
Yeah, it's a sweet little game. And it is one of those things. We have an idea. We're going to explore that idea. We're out of ideas. End of the game. And what else could you want for I like a good gimmick exploration.
I had my little discovery of Kingdom.
Oh, yes.
Which that one really took me by surprise. So Kingdom, I picked it up on iPad. And there are 2 versions. There's Kingdom New World or New Lands or something, and then Kingdom 2 Crowns. I've been playing 2 Crowns because it's a bit more of the plotty, forgivey one, where the other one's more of a roguelike where you constantly restart. It is, in some ways, what I consider an anti-game, because it does things which it's like you wouldn't do. But basic premise, side-scrolling city builder strategy game, where the only interaction you have is walking a horse left and right. You can swipe...
And the only real interaction you could have with the world...
Swipe down to spend coins. I think it's swipe up to pick up coins.
Money is the only real...
so basically, you get money. You
just
walk
like
over coins.
It's the only real speech we have, spending money.
And then it says, figure it out. And then you go through this day-night cycle. Very minimalistic. There's very little text telling you anything. The systems themselves are obtuse. So it's not even like, oh, so I put banners to make infantry? Okay, sure, why not? All right, that's like, I think that's how it works. You upgrade enough, and suddenly you can turn it to towers turn into other buildings, which I can pick up a person and bring them here. Sure, why not? Obtuse puzzle for me to figure out.
Yeah.
But this game, oh lordy, like this, it's been a long time since I've played a game which has kept me up to about 1 or 2 in the morning, because it's so chill and so relax. You just lie in bed with these simple controls and your big old touchscreen.
Well, yeah, I was considering you're saying touch, I assume you're playing it on a phone or a tablet.
I'm playing it on iPad, and it works because it's such a beautiful game. The sound design is so beautiful. It's just a perfect relaxed game, and the So it'll be like a daytime where you can go out and do stuff, and then nighttime will happen, and you'll get attacked, and then you'll get sort of progressively stronger attacks, and the time of the month will change, or the moon will change what it's doing, and then the moon will do different things depending on when it's out, and seasons eventually change. All this stuff, all with this basic interaction of swipe left, swipe right, up, down, and that's it. The length of the day is just perfect. That it's just like you're like, all right, I'm done. All right, I have to get through the night so I can do this next thing. I'm gonna build my boat because boats are an important thing in this game. Really like it. Really, really, really like it.
But is it any good?
Yes and no. There's
well, you were just supposed to say yes.
Yeah,
So
no, it is very good. But like, one of the things I like about it is like when a game design can incorporate things which are inherently bad in a way which makes them good. Like the game design nerd in me just loves it. It's like showing. It's a bit like Death Stranding, where it's like, oh, you're doing this thing which makes no sense and no one in their right mind would do, but somehow you pulled it off in a way that makes it work. Like, my hat's off. Like, that's really clever. So yeah, really like it.
Well, I feel like they'll release a special digital wallpaper.
I'd be happy with that. It's pretty art.
Got another review of a game I played on the weekend instead of playing Cyberpunk or Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Miles Morales or any of those things. I played Call of the Sea.
Oh, yeah.
Came out on Game Pass.
Yep.
I wanted to check it out. It is a walking sim, but also is puzzle game. So first person, and you have gone to an island to find your partner who has gone to help try to find a cure for your disease. And this is a H.P. Lovecraft game. Unapologetically, about a third of the way through, you will see a giant fish monster above the ocean. And it is a real mixed bag. I put up a few screenshots with just some like, is this texture missing, or is it just like really misaligned? Something that sort of disappeared. The actual game, I think, is really beautiful. I really love the art. That's probably the highlight. The problems come in. One, it doesn't really know how to tell a story when there's only one character, which means I like to speak in exposition sometimes. The first time I spoke in exposition must have been back in the 1930s when I was an exposition expert. It's like, you could shut up.
You could possibly show and not tell.
Yeah, and that's like you can draw comparisons to Firewatch or something like that. And Firewatch worked because it had such an excellent main relationship that you're exploring.
Yeah.
But all you're doing is exploring a relationship that she's telling you about because there's no interaction with anyone else. And then you get to the puzzles. And they are the most standard rack of puzzles I've ever... Like, oh, look. It's like, oh, I found a mechanical bridge. They don't normally have these in Polynesia. Like, this part of the history, I don't think anyone has a giant mechanical bridge that unfolds. But fair enough. It's like, oh, I have to find 4 symbols. I walk around and say, oh, yes, which one represents the fish? And I'm like, yeah, okay, great, I get it. And then I think I was most angry at the game when I would say it's sort of about the penultimate moment of the game. So you're not quite at the finale, but you're just opening up the thing. And fucking Simon says, it's like, oh, how do I solve this this ancient magic ritual? I have 3
Up,
drums.
down, left, right.
It's like boom, boom, boom. Oh, good. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, no.
Boom, 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 boom. I was like, oh, seriously, we're doing this now. Anyway, that's it. Oh, and I hate the ending so much. So much. I think it's a writing crime. I'm like, you could, like, they could easily fix it.
Yeah.
Like, without giving anything away to either thing. They need to watch a little show called The Leftovers and how that ends. And they have to understand the idea of an unreliable narrator. And that's so broad, you have no idea what that means. Because it's so insulting. And I was almost offended, actually, because to make their bullshit work, they just randomly paint some other character you've never met as a villain. This game hasn't even had a villain up to this point. They're just like, that person was bad. Fuck you. Like, that's not how this works. Weirdly, for a H.P. Lovecraft game, it's not actually that horror focused. There are certainly some horror elements to it, but it's not spooky. As I say, it looks really good, and the puzzles are like, I didn't hate all the puzzles, but some of them were just a bit naff and a bit rote.
It's just they feel like they were there because they felt like they had puzzles. They needed
Yeah, a
puzzles
little
going.
bit. And like, it does a good thing with like as a notebook. So if you find like someone's written a code,
Yeah.
it automatically fills up in your
Yeah.
notebook. So you don't have to take a screenshot or write it down or just remember it. It's like the game will let you know. So it's got some good quality of life.
Oh, very, very brief tangent.
Yeah.
I was almost going to get Mist for VR,
Uh-huh.
but you know what they haven't added?
They haven't had any note taking in the game. I actually had seen a similar thing. I'm like, why would you do that? It's VR. You don't have a pen and paper. You do not have a pen and paper
to write on.
I've never been prouder.
Yeah.
I walked out like 2 or 3 nights ago, and there is a notepad next to the couch, and it's just got these lines.
I saw that before. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, you're starting to see the code, Lisa. Starting to see the truth. Yeah, it's been interesting watching her play The Witness because it is a really weird game.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's so good.
Oh, it's so good. It's like where do I go? It's like wherever you want. It's like, oh, don't try that puzzle though. It's like, why not? It's like, trust me.
Yeah.
But the game doesn't tell you that. It just says like, here's an impossible to solve thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
and only impossible because you don't know.
yeah. Whereas I can kind of like, I just look at it and go like, I know how to solve that. It's been 2 years, but I know how to solve that.
Man, that game's so good.
Yeah, but it has been long enough that I've forgotten the finer details of things.
Yeah.
So sometimes she'll go, I'm stuck on this. Can you give me I don't know either. Let's both sit down for a minute and just go. What a great game! Really, and runs very well on PS5.
What Blow's doing at the moment?
He's being pretty transparent about his new game. I don't think it has a name.
Yeah,
it's sort of Sokobon-ish. Yeah, you could just look it up. I think he's sort of been hiding the art style. I think last time I checked on it, but it's been a while.
Yeah. He's a man that I trust is going to do something very interesting next.
I think he's involved in the Braid remaster as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they did some interesting things with the art for that.
Yeah.
I'll play it again because it's been even longer since I played it, and that game was a real banger.
Yeah,
even if it is pretentious as hell.
Yeah. And I'll get Paul to solve the hard puzzles for me again.
That was the first bit. I miss our teenage years of everyone playing games and just I don't like this bit. Paul, you do that.
Paul, can you climb the Colossus for me? I don't like this game part, Paul.
Yeah, I just like looking at the Colossus. I don't want to engage with it. It's quite janky. I'm like, janky? That's my middle name. I love games that are 6 out of 10s. Oh yeah, Call of the Sea, 6 out of 10. It was a pleasant way to spend a few hours. I think it's 4 hours or something. But boy, I mean, I do love, like, I have nothing but ragging on it, but I'm like, oh no, I still kind of enjoyed myself. And I really like the art. Yeah. And it was, as soon as they said perineum gland, I was like, I love craft. Give me some From Beyond. Oh, now that's a sexy movie.
Oh,
it's what they sort of made after Reanimator. It's the house.
Oh, yeah,
they stimulate the perineum and bring in stuff, and everyone gets into bondage.
Yes, yeah, now I remember. Yeah.
It's a real awakening for Paul. Nah, I was always like that. I mean, we could talk about more Cyberpunk. Oh, okay, so just PSA out there at the moment. I'm not sure if Ubisoft will still be going by the time this is released, but Epic will have just started their 15 days of freebies.
Yeah.
So that's
check that every day.
Their weekly game, except every day.
Yeah.
And there are probably some days, at least in the past, sometimes they do multiple games in a day. So you're probably going to end up with 20 games out of that. I'm sure there'll be some repeats from before, but I mean, what I'm going to complain.
Are they going to be done with this next year?
I don't know, because they were only supposed to do 1 year. Now they've done 2 years.
I feel like they're going to keep going.
I don't know.
They have so much money. They can just keep doing it.
It's ridiculous. I have bought games on Epic, but my library is huge.
Yeah.
And they're all free.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's crazy.
And Ubisoft has also been giving giveaways. Today they gave away Starlink.
Yeah.
And
you missed that by the time, yeah. But it's a good game.
Yeah, so who knows what else they release with then. So may as well check. And I'm sure other people will be doing giveaways because that's what people do around Christmas now.
Yeah, Starlink's like a really good kiddie No Man's Sky. It's a good game.
I thought it was kind of fun, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got my Switch version with my Star Fox stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a big nerd. That's why I had to get glasses to really say.
You do look like a big old nerd.
Yeah, big old nerdy boy. Why don't you go read a book?
Yeah, you can now.
Yeah. No, I don't need them because I'm
you can read the
short-sighted.
text. Can you read that
the
now?
book over there. No.
You can't read it?
Why, can you? I can kind of read it, but not really.
Which one?
It's highlighted in blue.
Yeah, I can read it.
And there are 3 lights going towards us.
I can read it.
Okay, cool.
The initiative's perfect, dark. Yeah.
I can. Yeah, I guess I can read it, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like jumping out at me. Yeah. Anyway.
There you go, a little mini eye
Alberta
test there.
Wildlife Adventure. I think I took that off the actual list. And then I guess finally we had an indie showcase on Nintendo last night with a few things. The Spelunky 1 and 2 are coming or out on Switch now. I think they're just coming.
Splunky 2.
Yeah, and 1.
Okay. Never a big fan of Splunky.
Yes, and weirdly, if I was going to get it, I feel like I'd get and try 1 again because 2 is harder.
Yeah, the first one was pretty hard.
I'm already not good at Splunky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fisty Fluffs got announced. Are you excited?
What's that one?
Well, I was surprised that they called it Fisty Fluffs because they should have just called it Cat Fight. It's a fighting game of cats. Bit Power Stony.
It's Paws? No. More like Power Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you think of
Paws of Fury. That's what
was
I was
that
thinking
Claws?
Maybe it was Claws of Fury. I have a feeling it was... No, it might have been Claws of Fury.
Wasn't Paws a dog simulation game?
Yeah, personalised automated wagging system.
This is where you're coming from. You need that as a big box. Give me some fucking Paws. A cheap looking but looked fun enough sort of trying to park game, but in the maybe a bit more in the mold of an Overwatch. So very, very valet, I think it's called. Where it's just like, you got to park these cars, but there's a train going in between. You got to launch the car over the train and shit. Like, okay, that seemed fine. Skipping stuff. New game by Maneater Designs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mechanarium, Churchill,
yep,
and stuff like that. It looked very much like Churchill, which was the sort of quite kiddie one they made. Except this one looks like a kiddie game, but it's a horror game. I'm like, I'll get that. That seems fun. Super Meat Boy is coming this year. I mean, that's Super Meat Boy Forever. Sorry.
Yeah.
I hate the way that game looks. I loved Meat Boy, but I feel like even if they made a Meat Boy that was like Meat Boy now, it's like I'm done.
Well, now that pixel platformer is well and truly
overindulged. Yeah, I feel.
You remember that early stage of Kickstarter where it's like we got a pixel platformer and we got another one, and then suddenly it was
$300,000 for it. Yeah,
and then suddenly it's like, oh, here's nothing but pixel platformers.
Yeah, well, the when Kickstarter was first getting popular, it was remember this.
Yeah.
Well, we also like it, so we can probably make one. And now
I think the most successful one I've seen is the Dungeon Keeper one.
Dungeons?
No, not Dungeons. War of the Underdark.
As
far as actually, like their goal was to go, let's do a spiritual successor to Dungeon Keeper. They did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
they actually deliver on it.
I think a bunch of things delivered.
Yeah. The Digi one was exactly what it said in the tin.
It just sort of turned out we didn't really want it. I mean, Kickstarter is certainly... I think Kickstarter has definitely become a place for art and board games. I think gaming has really dried up on it. Because it just becomes there's so much...
Well, I mean, it was the thing which was giving us... the retro things back. It probably what it gets credit for is that the fact we have them now.
Yeah,
like it's like would Squadrons have been made? Would Pillars of Eternity we've gotten Infamy or Divinity
Tyranny?
Sorry, Tyranny. I mean,
that really brought back that classic RPG.
Like, what else Kickstarter did was here's all these genres that we don't currently have. Do they still want
it? Showed there was we have quite a number of 3D platformers again now, and
ukulele, that now we've got
time.
So I kind of feel like Kickstarter's done its job for gaming. Like it's probably just the fact that we have what we want now.
The last one I did was more akin to a board game thing, which was Wonderful 101. It's a game that already exists. You can pre-order it for a slight discount, and it helps us. Yeah. I think they're using the extra money to just do a few things like soundtrack and some weird little single player they were adding, like a side scroller to it. I wonder if they did that. I should go and check. And that's fine. It doesn't really But so Super Meat Boy, I don't think he's going to make the splash I did. See, what the best thing with Super Meat Boy was just, I'd play it, and then your wife would play it, and she'd beat me by a split second, and then it would tell me,
and then you have to play it,
and keep going, and we just get faster and faster, and that was good leaderboards and like good if they really focused with this on making leaderboards and sort of groups inside that and everything, because a worldwide leaderboard's
it's pointless.
What you want is like Trackmania Nations, where it's like you get your area, your zone. You know,
he's like in my suburb.
Yeah, in the suburb, I'm kicking ass. Sure, I'm 297,000th in the world.
I don't care about that. How am I in Nunda?
Yeah, only number 10 in Nunda. It's as high as I could ever hope to be. Exciting. Grindstone is out on the Switch now.
Grindstone's good.
It is, and now that I've finally remembered to cancel my Apple Arcade subscription again, which I did do a few months back, but I do not to harp on it because we mention it all the time. I can't believe how they fucked that up. It's such a good service.
Well, now they've done what I kind of wanted them to do, where they've rolled it into Apple One, and so now
it's all part of the thing.
So now it's like there is just a subscription where it's like you get Arcade, you get TV Plus or Apple TV Plus, and you get
good.
Music.
That's also good.
Probably like the biggest like I'll say flop, but like the biggest what the hell is probably Apple TV Plus. Like
what a load of shit.
Like their quest for original content, and that's all they've got. It's so strange.
And also, like the times that I load, because now finally they've added clients for other things to be able to play it. Because I got it through a fault in an iPad, honestly.
Well, I have it because I bought a new iPad about 6 months ago.
I had it because I was testing a new iPad and I signed into it.
You accidentally got it.
I'm like, oh, shit. I mean, no one else was going to use it anyway, but it's like, oh, we'll sign in. It's like, oh, we had an Apple TV. Oh, no, it was an old Apple TV. That doesn't support it either. It's like, well, I don't want to watch it on a goddamn iPad. So we never did. Now it has a plug into the TV and everything. But even when you load it, half the stuff isn't Apple. Like Apple TV Plus is like obscured inside.
It's so strange. It's like they use it as a vehicle to get you to try and buy other stuff. Like you can't just go, here is my Apple TV stuff. Like it's just weird.
It's like, no, I don't really. And you've mostly made some shit.
I watched Dads. That was all right.
Don't know what that is.
It's just like a documentary. You know, it's kind of relevant to what I'm trying to learn about at the moment. It's just about dads and different dads around the world.
Yeah, but they're Apple dads. You don't need them.
No, it's actually pretty good at having a bunch of different, like Japan dad, the Japan stay-at-home dad.
You're not Japan.
No, I'm not a Japanese stay-at-home dad.
Anyway.
But yeah, Apple TV Plus is weird.
Among Us was announced for Switch and released.
Yeah.
I would care if I didn't have a bunch of other devices that I can already play Among Us on. So this is a weird one for Paul. So they announced that Kosmokrats was coming. Now I don't expect you to remember Kosmokrats. Kosmokrats was in my long list of games I demoed earlier in the year, and it was this weird USSR Russian themed thing where you were trying to assemble like parts of a space station with physics. Just in space. And in the demo, it just let you, if you screwed up, it just screwed up and there was no real way of recovery. You couldn't even restart the mission. The game just kept going on. And in one of the missions, the Earth, which is behind you in the background, starts firing nukes. And you're just like trying to save this space station while the world is being literally destroyed behind you. And it's got all the characters like Canadian South Park flappy head people and everything. Like, it wasn't high art, but like I actually kind of like this thing. So I'm like, I thought it was going to be stuck in the obscurity of just an indie Switch, a Steam game that never got anything, and maybe it'll fall into the indie obscurity on the Switch. But hey, at least it's getting a little bit more exposure and could potentially be there. And it got on a showcase, so that's good anyway. Yeah. And then also it showed some Hoa and Trash Sailors. Hoa was that really pretty Studio Ghibli thing, so I was surprised it was just delegated to a montage at the end. But anyway, that's cool. Okay, so we're kind of near our normal end time anyway. There is still a bunch of shit we haven't discussed. We haven't even mentioned Sex with Stalin. Which, I mean, isn't good, but it's worth talking about. And there's a bunch more Cyberpunk stuff, but we don't really need that. how about we sort of call it a thing for now, and we can try to catch up more things later. We can talk some WoW Shadowlands at some point.
We have to get Cal on for that.
I am going... Oh. After I do my
your
I will, and I'll put it here just to put it out there again. I, Paul McDonald Broadhurst, not real name, a hater of World of Warcraft, will put his prejudices aside, and I will... Well, I was told to play 1 to 10, but I believe that's only like 90 minutes of content.
Yeah, it won't take you long.
So I'll probably play some more than that, and I will write about my experiences with the most open mind as possible. For I have
possible for Paul.
I have not played this game since probably the first expansion.
Yeah, probably. I think I remember you played some Tauren lady.
Yeah, cowgirl, thank you.
Yeah. Probably back around Burning Crusade.
Why don't humanoid cows have 2 big udder tits? Just would like it. It would be funny for Paul. It would be like a Cyberpunk thing.
I can't wait to hear how much you hate this game. Because it is still 100% exactly what you think it is.
We'll find out. Cal has been telling me how wonderful the onboarding is and how the new players are really is going to have a good time. And I told him that
You're going to read all that lore, right, Paul?
Try to stop me. There's one thing I like about video games. It is when they stop and present a whole bunch of text for background information.
Yeah. About characters you don't know?
You know how good Disco Elysium's written?
Yes. It's written very well.
That how, like, when it gives you lore, it's like, hey, here's some information in context of a thing that's happening at the moment, and otherwise, you'll find out as you go along. Don't worry about it. Because I still don't really know what's going overall in that world, but I just know the bits of it that matter to me. And isn't that good writing?
I can't wait for you to play it.
I mean, I hope I love it. I mean, honestly, I mean, I my dislike of WoW is not like I'm not like, wow, what a shit game, people shouldn't like it. It's like, I want to love everything. Like, I want to love watching football. And I can, in the right context, enjoy watching football. Normally have to be there. Get
Being
the crowd
there makes a big
you.
difference.
Yeah. But I can't become invested.
Yeah.
And that's the same. Like, it's not really a fault, but it is a disappointment in life. When other people get enjoyment for something and you can't find the same enjoyment, it's a little bit sad, honestly. It'd be nice. Like, I'm always having to go at people. Like, oh, God. There was a great Simpsons meme. Which was
all of the hard rock controversy.
Which was about Tones and I. And some dickhead's just like, I don't even understand why anyone would make her a celebrity. She's not even attractive. And she's a shit singer. It's like, well, one, she's not a fucking sick shit. I didn't say that. It was just like, my thing was actually because someone else just posted a thing about him being garbage, and then he doubled down, so I just wrote "dig up, stupid" a gif. But it's like, why do you put so much energy into disliking a thing which obviously lots of people enjoy and think is quality? What is the point of this? Especially when you're an adult. I get it when you're a 14-year-old.
Yeah,
I was terrible.
When you're 14, you're doing all your identity forming and things like that.
People of the internet. There was a brief period of my life where I didn't watch films that were in English because that was too mainstream for Paul. I got over myself.
Mostly.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm still a pretentious twat, but I acknowledge it, and I also, like, Demolition Man is one of the greatest films ever made.
And we're getting a sequel.
What?
I'm pretty sure a sequel's happening.
Fucking stop the podcast, Jesus. I'm scared already.
I swear I heard about a sequel. Because I remember making some comment about finally finding out what the seashells do.
I don't want to know. That would ruin it. Oh, come on, computer, wake up.
Internet.
Demolition Man 2. That's not a that can't be a real trailer.
No, it's got to be fake.
It's got to be a fake trailer.
But
Will there be a Demolition Man 2? Confirmed that Demolition Man 2 is coming.
There we go.
Okay, everyone. Okay, so we're meeting at the cinema.
We're just going to wait?
Oh, but can they do it again?
Maybe.
Because it was deliberate.
I guess it depends what they do. If they're just retreading the old...
Pointless.
Thing. Like, they need to look like, all right, well... What the world of Demolition Man was the extrapolation of what we thought it was going to be back then.
Yeah.
So
it kind of is the ultimate in like the conservative view of like PC gone mad.
Yeah.
But now that's kind of gone a bit differently.
Yeah, and so I think if they're going to do a sequel, I want to see them do something similar, but more extrapolating what we've... I don't know what it ended up being.
No, that's the thing.
Even its PC Gone Mad view, it's not like it's like really mean the way they look at it.
No.
Like, it's like the society functions, mostly. Yeah, I don't know.
But I want to eat red meat. Want to smoke.
Yeah, I think it'll be hard for them to pull off. Like, there's...
If it's the same premise, 100% not the time to make that movie.
No. No. But if it's like an extension of where we think it's going...
But if it's too on the nose...
Yeah.
It's like,
because I don't...
satire is hard,
I wonder if they get Dennis Leary back.
Oh, fuck. I mean, let him sprout against SJWs again. He'll love it. It's like, I want to be able to fuck the moon. And Dennis Leary, watch me in the Fireman show.
I mean, I guess they could go the other way. They could go like the libertarian extreme, and what does that look like? I don't know.
What will it be?
It
could be anything.
I don't know if they can pull it off because I just don't know what it is. I have a feeling they'll play it safe and it'll just be like, oh, look at this PC world again.
I kind of imagined it would be closer to Virtuosity.
Which I rewatched the other day.
Oh, does it hold up?
Yeah, actually, it's pretty good.
Very good. Yeah. Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
He's in that Arc animated series. And also that Arc animated series is the first time that Elliot Page has announced a new project.
Under Elliot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, which is not interesting to see. I'm very, very interested to see as Elliot's career. If you are not aware, the actor Elliot Page has come out transgender. And I mean, speaking around, I guess if you do not know what I'm talking about, the dead name of which is Ellen Page, which
you're not meant to use
historically. You don't particularly use, but just if you do not know who we are talking about,
for context,
the actor that starred in Hard Candy. Why did I go Hard Candy first?
Wow, Juno. I think let's go Juno.
Hard Candy's a classic. But yeah, I know Umbrella Academy's already changed the credit to Elliot.
Okay.
But yeah, I want to see what happens now because so perfectly capable of basically playing any character of any gender orientation fits and what he'll be offered. But because it becomes one of those things because there's always whenever there's a call for transgender people to play transgender people, people are like, it doesn't matter who it is, it matters who your actor is. I then want to know if there's going to be an uproar if he's cast in straight male roles or straight female roles. It's like you can't have them do that. It's like you were always the people that said it was just the acting that mattered. Now let's see. Hopefully it all just works out well. We get more representation and it really does reach that level. Because the problem with that argument, sorry to get too political for a second, is also that because things are not equal. Because people do not get those. But if you do reach that utopia where everyone does get equal opportunity, yes, it's true. You really just pick the best actor for a thing. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean that is that old argument for
affirmative action.
Yeah, affirmative action,
stuff like that.
Affirmative action,
quotas, things like that.
Like you can talk about this ideal world where it's unfair that such and such is getting a leg up, but most of the time, especially us being your typical kind of white males, we started 10 meters from the finish line, like in terms of like to achieve life success.
But I'm really slow.
Like, and to kind of not be for affirmative action, it's like you're really denying the fact that inequality exists. Yeah, and it's like no, it exists. It's like it's there, and all we're doing is just trying to shimmy things around a bit so people,
the amount, the more representation you can show people of what they can become, the more likely they'll be able to perceive themselves as becoming it.
Yes,
and that's good. We want anyone to be able to come anything they wish they can be.
My dream will be that one day we'll have a Elliot Page and there will be no news article.
Yes, because I think I saw you make a comment about such a thing. Someone was like, "What is this even news?" So, and your response was like, "Wouldn't it be nice if it wasn't news?" But it is, and it's because of fuckers like you. Actually, I mean, we're ended, and we're going to get too political now. But here's my big problem with the transgender community. So, where we're talking about discussions rules, like how to refer to people, and obviously, I always want to respect people, but one of the things is like, don't ask about their genitals because, it's not no one's business, it's private and everything. But I'm interested in everyone's genitals. I don't care that they're trans, I'm just interested generally.
I guess don't be interested because they're trans. It's okay to be genuinely interested in genitals.
Yeah.
If it's not because, like,
it could be very interesting.
Yeah.
Who knows what everyone's got going on? It's like, don't ask. You don't know what someone's got going on. I'm like, that's why I'm asking. I don't know what they've got going on. Could be very impressive. That sums up Paul's issues with the transgender community. I think we're safe.
I don't think we're cancelled.
No, no one's truly cancelled anyway. They cancel you on Twitter. And I know that's there were a few things this week where it's like oh, big uproar, like just don't respond. And it moves on. Yeah, it's fine.
Yes.
Twitter, any news story that starts with on Twitter, unless the story is about Twitter's business, it's not news.
Yeah.
It's just some people talking some shit. Man, I love following David Jaffe. He's the best. What a complex man.
I so seldom look at Twitter.
Yeah,
it's just too transient for me.
Well, Twitter for me is pretty much all I follow is a bunch of indie game devs. So pretty much when I load it up, I get a bunch of screenshots and GIFs and videos, and I get to see what's going on, which is primarily what it is. Although, apparently at some point, I visited the page of a porn star because I loaded up Twitter to check something at work today, and I forgot that Twitter just has straight up porn on it. Oh, so thankfully, I'm the only person in the office at the moment. That was full-on penetration on my work. Like, Twitter, okay. Mark for later. Is there a button for that on Twitter? Should be. Everything has that button. It's called bookmark. Anyway, we've continued with bullshit and not talking about games for like an extra 10 minutes, so we should stop. Thank you for watching or listening. 8.5bit. You can catch us on the website, 8.5bit.com, at Twitter, Facebook. Please like and share anything like that. Subscribe to us on whatever the hell you want, or join our Discord at discord.8.5bit.com. I have been Paul.
I've been James.
And we'll catch you all hopefully far more regularly again.
See you, everyone.